That's right. It's another late night and time for another reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag. And tonight we're pulling out, in the name of Vera Farmiga, DK! DK!
Oh God, what is it, man? What is it? You interrupted my fifth viewing of Avengers Endgame for this, Dragon. This better be good. Come on.
DK, it happened again, but,
What? The Kate-Ening? Did the Kate-Ening happen again, Dragon? Really?
well, yes, but, it's a little more than that this time.
What is it? What is it, Dragon? For the love of God, what is it, man? I gotta get back in there. Act 3 is about to start.
DK Ukle in the Ag Bay.
What?
Look in the bag. The grab bag. She's in there.
Don't be ridiculous, Dragon. You can't fit a physical person in a bag. Let me look inside.
Fine.
Hello.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Hi. Surprise.
That's right, folks. Our guest tonight, you could call her Ray, you could call her apart, you could call her a daughter of Thanos even, because this woman's all about bringing balance. We constantly ask the secret formula to the JGI equation. Many a time, it's the variables that are the JGI players. Now, whether she's playing opposite or ensemble, she acts as the ultimate scene partner, generous, listening, the safety net of the sketch, if you will, because while she may not always take center stage in the limelight, to the uncertain actors waiting in the dark, she brings security that breeds confidence in the work. Folks, unlike the Nolan Batman, we don't deserve her, but we count our Poncio stars, we have her. She's got a middle name that describes her to a T and a last name synonymous with the golden age of Hollywood. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to the wonderful Katie Mary Garland.
Thank you so much for that intro.
We're so glad to have you. Folks, that's right. Tiki, tell them what we're doing here today.
Tonight we are going over an interview with Katie Mary Garland. Of course, we're going to cover it all, folks. We're going to cover her roots. We're going to cover the places she calls home, where she came from, her influences in comedy, how she met up with Just Giggle It, what her role in the Just Giggle It biopic that we're inevitably going to pitch is going to be. All that and more. Plus, cankerous relationship with Joshua Thomas. What's the truth on that? All this and more at 11.
Yes. Love it.
Right.
So as I hope you, as I think you've noticed, Katie, we kind of themed this season after you. We kind of gave it a little nickname. We kind of christened it the Kate-Ening.
Yes.
Just out of, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
What did you think of it? How'd we do?
I loved it because it's like I've shot these things like over the years, and every time I listened to one, it like brought me back. And I have to say, I love that you guys watched Becoming and liked it so much.
Yeah, we were really into that one.
I couldn't shut him up about it, but yeah, it was great.
I did that. What was that? 2015? I feel like you guys
2015, Year of Ultron. That's the one.
I did it so long ago, and I haven't talked to Katie or Chris in so long, and it made me text both of them and just be like, and I sent them the link. I'm like, listen to this, guys. Remember when we did something awesome? So it's awesome that, I don't know, it just took me back, and we
got a similar feedback when we did the podcast for Watching You. I feel like after Watching You, that cast kind of like came together and embraced about the good old days. So that's one of the big things I love about doing these grab bags.
Yeah, it brings you back and it makes you reconnect with people, and you're like, oh yeah, that was awesome.
Well, Katie, we're definitely going to pick your mind about that for sure, but we've got a lot of other stuff to get into. And might I just say, I just think this is one of the big positives of having Dragon as a co-host is he just gives like the most epic introductions to people.
I know, gosh, you guys I have to say, like, my ego is so stroked right now. I'm like, oh man, don't you guys like want to get into casting and put me in more things?
Listen,
I love
casting agents out there, you want perfection. Look no further. Look for Katie Mary Garland, a woman so good she has 3 names.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put me, if Barry needs a sister, I think I need his younger sister who gets the acting bug. I think we just came, that's a great idea.
Wait, was that just a confirmation that you watched Barry?
Yes. Okay. So it's so
God.
interesting. So I will say I am not caught up at all.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
in the first season, in acting class, the black girl that plays her name in real life is Kirby. I don't know what her name is on the show.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she's now, she's in season 2 and like she has a job in season 2 we kind of see. But yeah, I got you. Go on.
Yeah, she's blowing up. I did a sketch with her years ago.
Oh wow.
And like now she's like blowing up and it's I don't know. So it's like full circle that like, and then I get compared to her and I just want to, I don't know. It's just like, it's all these like little things. I don't know. It's all coming together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sorry. So you've blown our minds. You're saying that you've watched Barry, but not only that you know someone who's been in Barry. This is just kind of like the 1/1000s, 2/1000s. We're just kind of that space right now. So for us, we're like a little delayed at the moment.
We haven't really talked about it on the podcast except for once on one of our side shows, but Dragon and I might be the biggest Barry fans on the internet.
Oh, really? Okay, I need to get back into it. Like the last episode I watched was like that it's been a couple months, but he was supposed to shoot some other guy that's also a hitman or something, but then he doesn't, and they kind of like become friends, and then they go shoot a whole bunch of people. And
Taylor,
is that him? And then like he's just sitting there watching porn, and Barry's like,
yes.
And I was just like, that's so weird. I don't know. Ever since that, I haven't watched it again. But yeah, I need to get back into it.
All right.
I mean, he did win an Emmy, so he's doing good.
And I can safely say that season 2 is so far on track to outpace season 1 for sure.
Yeah, well, if you finish season 1, Katie, go back and watch our podcast where we kind of break down all the episodes. It's we're huge Barry fanboys over here, but yes.
Yeah. Well, Piper just gave me her. I stopped watching it honestly because another reason is I didn't want to pay for HBO anymore. But Piper Henson, shout out, just gave me her password.
Right.
She's trying to get me into Game of Thrones, and I just can't get into it.
Hey, no pressure, but if you can tell me this, you'll make my week here. If you tell me that Piper Henson watches Barry, if you can confirm that, that'll just blow me away right now. But
I'm sure she does. Like like her humor is that dark humor, so I'm sure she does.
I owe a debt of gratitude because she got me to watch The Americans with her recommendation. I watched that. That was pretty impressive. So,
and Katie, I just want to assure you, you are in familiar company with the whole like tried to watch Game of Thrones. Do not get it. Like I cannot wrap my hand around the hype of that show at all. But Drake and I agree that Barry is our Sunday night HBO event television.
Well, here's the thing I keep noticing. Every week, Barry keeps getting pushed back by 20 minutes. It's like, I don't like that. It's getting pushed back now.
All right.
Take that Game of Thrones in your Starbucks cups and everything. Take that.
Oh my God, that's all over the internet.
I know it's weird. Here's the thing. It's an average thing that happens in shows. But I'm sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, it happens, but like the fact that it happens in the fact that it happened in Game of Thrones, where it's like known for being like so epic and like every episode is like the same budget as like a movie and all that crap, and then so for them to make that mistake, it was like, whoa. Somebody got fired. It's like I don't know. It's like when they messed up the Oscars saying they put the wrong envelope. I feel like it's like almost at that level.
That devastated me, Katie, because as Dragon knows, I am such a big La La Land fanboy.
You know what? That movie was just a little bit too real for me. I was like, I want to see the Hollywood ending where they really get together, not that she like marries some other guy. And I don't know. As soon as she gets famous, she's like, all right, bye, going to Paris. Have fun. Which I mean, honestly, probably.
You know what? I absolutely hear you. I cannot argue you on any of that at all. I just really like the songs and the choreography and the filmmaking behind that film.
Oh yeah, me too. I'll jam out to the soundtrack, but actually, since I've been watching it, haven't done that more than once.
I think the Oscar-winning movie that was as head over heels with as Tiki is for La La Land is probably Shape of Water, and I believe the previous year. Wait, was it the previous?
I feel like that's a good definition point, yes. And I feel like I just kind of enjoyed Shape of Water, whereas you kind of just enjoyed La La Land.
Yep.
And then we were like huge fanboys for the other one.
So did you guys like the Bohemian Rhapsody? That's what won this year, right?
No, this year Green Book won.
Oh, Green Book.
I really like Green Book, so I would say
Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody are both very, very problematic movies, and I will just put it at that and just put it to bed.
It was just too easy for them in the movie, I thought. I was like, where's the struggle?
Honestly, like my vetting interest for Best Picture last year was Black Klansman.
Which I've watched, and it's good. I just think the end gets a little political. We'll leave it at that.
But the whole movie up to that point is just, anyways.
Yeah, so we're getting all sorts of sidetracked because we're here talking about you a little.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, ask your questions.
No, it's fine because I like this kind of like pre-ramble, like sort of kind of warm up. Like, all right, we're just kind of picking your brain, getting to know you before we dive into the heavy hitting stuff.
Yeah,
let's go over all the Oscar picks with Katie Garland.
Oh God,
Katie, what do you think of Vice? I'm dying to know.
Oh God,
what was that? You blurred out
Vice.
a little bit.
What did you think of Vice?
Oh, Vice. You know, I'm glad I saw it, and I loved Sam Rockwell as George Bush. I thought that was so funny. But it's like everyone thinks Christian Bale's like this. I'm probably gonna get so many like comments on this. And he is a great actor. He's a good actor. But I think some people think because he was able to like gain a lot of weight and talk the way he talked, that people just love a transformation. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny about that, Katie, is that I felt the exact same way about Gary Oldman in Darkest Hour.
A little better than Gary Oldman, though.
I mean, I love Gary Oldman. I just wish that his first Oscar win would have been for something a little bit more transcendent than just like put on a fat suit and do a good accent of a famous person. Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think Christian Bale did actually gain the weight, which I mean, good for you, man. But like, yeah, it was good. But I don't know. Do I think he deserved to win? I don't know. I guess. I don't know, but yeah, again, I'm glad I saw it, but I don't think I'd see it again. I think Bradley Cooper deserved to win, in all honesty.
Yeah, he did great. He did great. That was such a good one. I will say though, like none of the movies this year, I was like, I love this. I'm gonna watch this over and over.
Okay, we're gonna get to your interview soon, Katie. I promise. But I do agree with you.
Katie's agently having a heart attack right now, saying, "What are they doing?"
Was generally speaking a rather weak year for movies. I definitely agreed with you. I kind of felt that same way. To me, my top movies of 2018 were Spider-Verse for sure, and then also this is just kind of like. Dragon knows I'm almost a little embarrassed to like this movie as much as I do, but I freaking loved Mary Poppins Returns.
Okay, you know what? I loved what I'm gonna say his name wrong because I always do. Miranda.
Miranda.
I always mix up the Miranda and the Manuel. So Lin-Manuel Miranda is his last name. Okay, so yes. I like loved him in it, but gosh, it was just so hard. I loved Mary Poppins. It was just so hard that Julie Andrews like wasn't in it. You know what I mean? Because like
They were
even
doing nothing at the time.
when she's like a little snooty, like it's still so lovable. Whereas like when Emily Blunt did her like snooty Mary Poppins, it was almost like, ooh, okay, sorry. You know what I mean? It was like, ouch.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I love Mary Poppins Returns in kind of the same way that I love La La Land, right? It's like pure escapist entertainment. I think the songs are wonderful. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda is freaking adorable, and
oh my god, yeah.
He
And I love
he channeled Dick Van Dyke's accent so well.
Yes, like he did that Cockney like cartoon, and I agree. I loved it. If you just take it for what it is, but yeah, you can't compare it to the first one, or else it's just like, you know.
I think the fact that it's as good as it is compared to the first one is an achievement in itself.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well done. But yeah, I will say, like, I didn't love like the kids in it, but Lin-Manuel Miranda, like, and he like I just remember when he like had his song when they're like with the cartoons, and he had his little, you know, rap.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was priceless.
I just remember like sitting there, and I was with my friend Madeline, who I saw Hamilton with, and we just looked at each other like, yep, there he goes. There it is. He had to do it.
All right. So, Dragon, why don't we transition into some of the actual like interview stuff we have lined up?
What a novel idea. Let's do it.
Yeah. Ask me anything.
Oh, God.
All right. Okay. So, okay. All right. So, okay, let me ask you this, Katie. What was your Chaplin finding the hat moment? Like, what was that moment in life where, we have young Katie. We have young Katie way back in the day. She's kind of going about her business. She just has this defining moment where it all comes into focus. She knows what she wants to do. Like that moment where, from the movie Chaplin, which I don't know if you've seen it or not, but just that moment from Chaplin when the cane hops from, it all just comes together magically. What is that moment where it's all slows down and says, yes. This is the moment. Yes.
That's a great question. Oh man. If I had to pick one moment, oof. Well, I was always a ham growing up and like doing talent shows and stuff. And I always and I was a really shy child. Like I was very, very shy. But whenever I got on stage, I was like a different person. Like I was able to just be outgoing, and I just, it was where I like felt comfortable. And I will say, something about being on stage as a kid, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And I guess like the moment where I realized, gosh, it's hard to pick one. Okay, so I'm going to tell you two. The first moment where I was like, yes, I need to be an actor was we did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in like 5th grade, and I was Violet. And I had so much fun doing that play, and I remember how they handled me turning into a blueberry. It was like the Oompa Loompas like surrounded me, and they put me in this like a beanbag thing, and I like turned into a blueberry. And I just remember it was so fun doing that play as a kid, and just that rush of being on stage. I'll never forget that.
Nice.
And then I realized I wanted to get into TV because. So I moved around a couple times growing up. We moved when I was like going into 7th grade, like right after 6th grade, and again in high school when I was 15. So it was both like hard times to kind of be like ripped away from friends, I remember. And what saved me like from going crazy was watching the show Friends. And I just remember being like so upset and like crying that I couldn't make new friends because I was really shy. And something about just like that half hour a day when I would watch Friends, it just put me in such a good like mood, and like motivated myself to like actually like make friends. And I was like, man, I just want to be able to do that for people. Like take people that are just like like you were talking about earlier, like that need escapism, and can just like take them in their like when they feel like, oh, the world is over, I'm so upset, and it just can make people happy. I just remember like I was just, and this was before, you know, in the dark times before like there were DVDs and Netflix and stuff. And I remember like buying VHSs and like recording Friends like every time
Oh my God.
reruns and stuff, and I was the original binger. I just like binged Friends, and yeah, so I guess I don't know. Does that
Katie,
answer?
I have some very, very, very vivid memories of binging Friends DVDs on sick days from school as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you were talking about, you know, about like the escapism, it very much applies to being sick as well. You know, when you're sick, you don't want to put any mental capacity into anything you do. And Friends is very much a show where I don't say this in a negative way at all, but you can just turn your brain off and just kind of listen to the dialogue, almost kind of like listen to it as a radio show almost, because the characters are so distinct. And
yeah, and you don't need to like be like,
what are you gonna get up to now? Oh, Rob, so stuff.
Joey.
Yeah, and they I mean, obviously like if you know what's going on, that's great, but they can also like really stand alone if you just want to like have like 20 or 30 minutes. And like they've totally done studies where like people, like sick people in hospitals and stuff, will watch comedy versus drama, and the people that watch comedy get better faster, and it's because you like it's like tricking the brain, and by smiling and just being happy, like it's just
when I'm sick in the hospital. Oh yeah, I want to watch Requiem for a Dream, baby.
Yeah, I don't get why people that are sick, they're like, give me something to binge. I'm gonna binge like fucking House of Cards. It's like, no. You do that when you want to think. Yeah. So anyways.
I just tell what I love about your origin, Kate. I just love that, again, I love how Friends is kind of your bat crashing through the glass. I love that's a thing that, again, was kind of, you know, you're kind of at a loss.
I shall draw the image of a Phoebe.
I just love that. You kind of, again, in life, again, you were kind of stripped away from a little bit, then you kind of, given where you're at now, where kind of the path that you took, you found Friends. And it's almost like a Kermit the Frog dream. You know, it's almost like, yes, you want to sing, dance, and, you know, in this case, kind of, you know, act, improv, and make people happy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's why I wanted, yeah, it's exactly why I kind of like am more drawn towards comedy. It's like I just want to be able to like help other people who need that. Yeah. That's why they put the pivot in the "you don't deserve this," that Friends reference, because I'm constantly quoting it. Like sometimes I'll just be quoting it and people will be like, oh haha, and I'm like, sorry, I can't take credit for that was Chandler. And then other times I'll be like, I'll say something witty and people will be like, oh, what's that from? And I'm like, no, that was me. I came up with that. I'm funny too sometimes.
So, Katie, we got to ask you the daring question that everyone on the internet wants to know. All right, are you ready?
Oh gosh, yes. I think.
Which friend are you?
Ooh, okay. So I used to think I was Rachel, but I think I'm more of a Phoebe, especially these days, like living in LA. Like I'm very into like meditating, and like, sometimes I'm like head up in the clouds a little bit. Yeah, I just kind of like I'm very chill and just kind of like go with the flow. Yeah, so I think I maybe a little bit of Joey, that struggling actor.
Yeah.
I buy it as a Phoebe, though. I mean, give her a cab. She's a Phoebe. I can buy it.
Yeah, so I think I'm most.
I can't see myself a Chandler, but in reality, I'm probably more of a Ross.
Hey, Ross is the unsung hero of that show.
I'm just like, except instead of like paleontology, I'm the guy that gets all stuck up about Disney factoids.
I love it. I love that you watch Disney shows while you're stoned. Are you going to see Aladdin stoned?
Oh, dear God. Oh, we're going to go down this road.
Well, you opened yourself up for scrutiny. I warned you.
I mean, here's the thing. There's like a very convenient spot to smoke that's right by my movie theater, right? So, I mean, what can I say? I take advantage of it.
Hey, no judgment. I actually saw the Avengers stoned because, okay, I was very hungover from my friend's birthday the night before, and I was like, my friend had already bought tickets. And I was like, God, how am I going to make it to this movie? Like, I really want to see it. And but honestly, guys, like, I hope this isn't like too much. Like, I was puking all day. Like, I was so hungover. I haven't been that hungover in so long. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have a little bit of these gummies, and honestly, it helped. And it was a great way to watch the Avengers.
Oh yes. All right.
Which I can say that on live podcast because it's legal here now.
Well, yeah, I could throw out the whole song and dance of deniability for you, but I think you're, you can stand the bat for it if you want.
All right.
Cool.
All right. So, so speaking of friends, what are? Let me ask you this. So, of course, Friends as kind of played a big role in things. So, what were some of the greatest lessons in comedy and performing you learned from Friends?
Oh gosh. Like acting wise?
Yeah, acting wise, in general. Like, what did you learn in writing as well? Like, it was comedy and both performance and just kind of how kind of like the half hour, sitcom, how the half hour comedy influenced you, and maybe just writing generally how you perceive comedy. I guess is whole ball of wax.
Well, what I think makes Friends. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I love a lot of shows like The Office, Parks and Rec. Love those. But Friends is, what got me into like wanting to do comedy. And I think why it works so well is you can tell, or they just have great chemistry. Just the cast itself has great chemistry, and they're always reacting to each other.
Mhm.
Like, I have seen every episode multiple times, and I remember it got to the point where I'd watched it so much. I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at someone that I haven't looked at because they're not the one talking; they're just the one that's reacting to what's happening.
It's almost like when you go to see a play so many times that you're like, all right, I'm not gonna even pay attention to the lead performers. I'm specifically gonna pay attention to what the ensemble's doing this time.
Yeah, you're like, I'm actively gonna look at who's not talking,
Mhm.
and all of them are so in it. They're all reacting the way their characters would react. They never have that something that I struggled with when I first started with in improv. It's called ironic detachment, and it's where you kind of break character. In a way to where you're laughing at hey, aren't we so funny? And it's kind of like that wink to the audience, we're so funny. Look at us. There was never that on that show.
Oh, Katie, there was so much of that in my I'm sorry, I was just going to say there was so much of that in my student film that I did in high school. So much literal winking to the audience, hey, we're so clever because we're doing this. It's called Cloverdale instead of Cloverfield because it's like a found footage monster movie, but it's at a theme park. Wink. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, so I just love how committed they all were, and I guess just the chemistry they had with each other. And every show that I'm drawn to is like that. I also love Parks and Rec. I love The Office. I love Arrested Development. And they're all and they all do what I didn't even realize I did this until you guys were nice enough to point it out. I'm good at setting up the jokes, and I'm good at setting up the funny. And I remember in Arrested Development, Michael, Jason Bateman, the main guy, he's not really a funny guy, but he can set everyone else up who's such a wacky character,
Mhm.
so that he's the one that you relate to, and you're like, oh my God, how are you dealing with that?
I feel like Jason Bateman is that way in everything. He was the straight man in something like Game Night too, a movie which is over the top for the most part, but Jason Bateman's there oh, Jesus Christ, what is this crazy Jesse Plemons cop doing?
Yes. And you know what? I love Jason Bateman, but did you guys ever see that movie, The Change Up, where he and Ryan?
Yeah.
Oh God, I love seeing that side of him too, where he was like in, or Ryan Reynolds' character was in his body, so he got to be the like character, and seeing that side of him for me was, oh my God, I'm like, God, he can just do it all, that guy.
Uh-huh.
But I got sidetracked. Sorry. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. So, being as you phrased it in the past, bi-coastal, what makes Atlanta and LA? I mean, I could be completely off here. Are you still kind of bi-coastal? Are you still going to Atlanta and LA, or?
Yeah. I'm more in LA now. But yes, I still have a place in Atlanta, and I
What
still
made
like.
them both at home for you? Like, how would you define them as home?
Okay, so I'm originally from North Florida, and I remember when I moved out here to LA, they were like, "Oh, do you like all these acting teachers and stuff, you know?" They're like, "Do you have like are you in Atlanta local hire? Because there's so much shooting there now." And I was like, "Oh, really?" So I like got an Atlanta agent, and because a lot of it's on tape, I was able to like tape auditions, and it was just like easier to like get auditions and like get an agent. It's just everything was easier in Atlanta because I think it was like it's a smaller market than LA, and like the big things or the bigger parts don't cast out of there, so it doesn't have like the snoot, well, I don't want to say snootiness, it doesn't have it's more, I don't know. Everything was just easier for me there. I don't know how to word it without sound like LA just has this thing where it's like, oh well, you have to know someone who knows someone, or you have to be with this agent, or you have to have like done all this to get that. It's just it has this
Kind of has like a built-in hierarchy to it.
yes. Whereas Atlanta, it just seems like everyone's a little bit more equal, which I just really appreciated that I can just like submit to agencies and they'll just like take a meeting with me without, a referral and all. It just, there wasn't this like weird, I don't know if it was a mental block or what, but there wasn't this like weird barrier that I couldn't get past. So that's how I actually got my first credit in Taken 3, and I was really lucky. Like that scene was with Liam Neeson, and had that shot here, I honestly probably wouldn't have even gotten an audition for that part, So I just feel like it's a little bit more like evil, like level playing field there. So yeah, that's why I really I moved as much as God, Josh gives me such shit about it. Like I moved to Atlanta and I was there pretty full time for about a year, and I was like, I'm sorry, like I just got to get it out of my system at least, So I'm really lucky, and I'm really lucky that I still have a room in my friend's guest house there. So I'm still like taping auditions, and I still am like dabbling in that market just because I feel like, well, it's a lot closer to home. So I was able to like drive home for the 4th of July and see my parents more because it's only 5 hours from where I am in Florida. And it was just like that good old Southern hospitality that I missed because my mom's very Southern, and North Florida, like the Panhandle, is just super Southern. So it was just kind of like nice to be like kind of back home again, but like also doing what I loved. And it was like really easy to just like get on an improv team, on a house team, and have a weekly show, and get on a sketch team and have a weekly show. Whereas again in LA, it's like, no, you have to like come to our school and like do the whole program and take all our classes before you can even audition to be on a house team. And it's like, okay, like calm down. Like I know there's a lot of actors here, but like chill out. So yeah, I guess Atlanta's just a little bit more chill, and I just had a lot more. It was weird. I was just getting more opportunities through there, so I felt like I had to go give it a shot.
A thought just occurred to me about Atlanta, and
I think it's the same thought.
I fell off this show quite a while ago, but did you have any run-ins with The Walking Dead while you were in Atlanta?
Not the same thought. Continue.
So that actually, I never auditioned for that. That shoots like a little outside of Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay.
What what
Something
about
that
it?
did shoot in Atlanta, though. The
I was
Avengers.
just wondering if you ever like see like A, if you obviously you never auditioned for it, but B, like did you ever like see any of the shoots taking place? Like, oh my god, all these zombies everywhere.
No, because it was a little bit like out. It was far enough away to where I stayed kind of like they call it in the perimeter. So I never like really ventured that far out. But yeah, I did audition for Venom when I was down there. And I got a call back, and it was down to me and two other girls. And then but the girl that booked it, they cut her part out. And I'm like, oh man. Like, had I booked that, it would have been an awesome credit, but I would have been, could you imagine being cut out of a Marvel movie? Like, oh, that would be such a hard pill to swallow.
Well, Yvette, I think it's Yvette Nicole Brown, from Helen from Drake and Josh, and she's in Community too. She I won't say what in case anyone hasn't seen, but she's in Endgame, and of course they shot Infinity War and Endgame back to back in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of Marvel movies shoot there. I feel like most of even Spider-Man shot some of their stuff there.
I didn't think they shot multiples there. That makes sense. Now you bring it up. It's like maybe it's a shooting cost thing. Maybe it's just like kind of like the bountiful. I wonder if Atlanta's just the fill-in for New York a lot of the time. Maybe that's the case. No.
Yeah, well, I know they get like I don't know exactly, but I know there's like a lot of tax incentives for the production companies to shoot there. I don't know. And yeah, just like I'm sure it's just like cheaper as far as like locations go, because there's just so much land there. Yeah.
What's funny is that Yvette, she shot she shot her scene that, of course, again shooting back to back. She saw Infinity War, and I'm sure she's on like an MDA or something because they want to keep all the secrets unlocked and everything. So you go to Infinity War, and you're expecting your scene there. And of course, that scene is in the next movie the following year, and you still have to keep. Again, you're thinking they cut my scene. Then she goes to see Endgame, and it's just, oh my god, I'm in the movie.
Yeah, actually, when I auditioned for Venom, it was called Antidote. And
Really? That's a great shooting name.
I was like, what is this? What is this? Because I just like wanted to know like what the tone of my scene would be, you know? I'm like, I don't even understand like how I'm supposed to play it. But I just like went and did it how I thought to do it, and then I got a call back, so I guess it worked. And then after I like went to acting class, I'm like, sorry, I had an audition. It was, I swear it was, I can't find it on IMDb or anything. I can't like figure out what this movie is. It's called Antidote. And this girl's like, oh, that's Venom. I was like, what?
It's the old Blue Harvest effect. They give it a surname just to fool people.
Yeah, which I'm like, oh, well, cool. I'm glad I didn't know, because like I wasn't nervous, you know?
But speaking of because you brought it up already, let me throw this at you. What's it like playing opposite Liam Neeson? Because you technically had a really pivotal role in that movie. You were, you disseminated a big plot point.
It's funny because Dragon sent me a clip of like all the bagel related stuff in Taken 3, and without having actually seen Taken 3. I have no idea what the hell's going on or why this bagel is so important. I am so lost on the significance of this bagel, man. Like it feels like an SNL parody of a Taken movie.
It's it's no Spider-Verse bagel. By the same token, again, that is a very pivotal bagel to that plot, because again, that's the big. Basically, Katie, you framed Liam Neeson technically. Incidentally, you kind of framed him.
Oh god.
Well,
because you gave him that bagel.
But then Forrest Whitaker's like, oh, it was still too hot. That's how I realized you didn't have time to come home and kill her. Remember?
Yeah.
Like by the time we found her and the bagels, they were still so hot. We knew that you didn't have time to kill her because the bagels would have been cooled off by then. So I actually ended up kind of proving that, he was innocent because the bagel's not been that hot. Who knows? If they weren't fresh out of the oven, he would have needed a different alibi. Yeah, I had no idea, by the way. Like, I didn't get the full script, so I didn't know. All I knew was I had to go in there and say, be careful, they're really hot. I didn't know why. I honestly was like, God, why? Oh, I didn't even really...
Foreshadowing, you know?
Yeah, I didn't know, like, why, that it was going to have such a pivotal, like, full circle thing. So I remember when I booked it,
crazy.
I really didn't tell anyone because I was like, this is going to get cut out. Like, there's no point. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And then luckily I had a friend who worked for Fox doing the subtitles or something. So he got to see it before it came out in theaters. And he's like, you're in the movie. I was like, oh, thank God. But yeah, and then, yeah, by the end, it's like, the bagels. I was like, oh my God. I saved him. But yeah, but it was really cool working with him. That was in Atlanta, and I remember my call time was like 6:30 a.m. And then I saw Liam first name basis. No, Liam Neeson's call time was like 11, and I'm like, why the fuck am I going to be there 5 hours early? But you know, I didn't question it. And I went, and they like got me in hair and makeup, and I actually got my makeup done next to Forrest Whitaker, and he was really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, and then waited in my trailer, and then we went to the coffee shop, and they were getting me all ready and everything. And then Liam Neeson walks in, and he's just cool. Like, you know those guys that are just like, so, like, they just have an air about them that you're like, ooh, he's here. You know what I mean? Like, you can just feel him. And he was so nice to everyone. And they actually cut a little bit out of what we did. Like, it's funny. He's like 4 bagels and cream cheese. And then they cut out. We had a little bit more banter. He's like, how much is that? And I'm like, oh, like $7. And he like slapped $7 down. And then, I don't know, that we had a little bit more back and forth, and because I was trying to get more lines, frankly, but also he was like he was the one that was driving it, so I was like, oh, if he's gonna sit here and say stuff that's not written, I'm gonna improv with him. So, but he was really, really cool, and I just remember he like, you know, introduced himself and shook my hand, and yeah, he was a really cool guy, and you know what, like the crew was really cool. Like they were really nice, and they like even the hair, the makeup, like everyone. Oh, and he was so tall, they had to put me on an apple box because I looked so short next to him. And I remember like when I had to like go get the bagels, I had to like, it was like, I don't know, I kept getting worried I was gonna like fall off the damn box because it wasn't long enough. But
you need a stunt double for the bagel clerk. Stats.
Yeah, but it was really cool. It was, gosh, cool. It was a highlight of my life. No, being in Just Giggle It is.
Oh boy, man, there's the quote. It's a quote a ridiculous running gag that Tiki and I have, just because it's Liam Neeson. Basically, you sold bagels to Oscar Schindler.
Oh God!
Oscar Schindler. I'm sorry, Kate. It's just a ridiculous gag. We love we basically a commentary on Schindler's List. And at the start of that movie, you know, he's the bon vivant playboy, and you have this really happy-go-lucky waiter as basically he's being all playboy-esque at the start of the movie, and he goes like, who is that man? And the waiter is, after he's been won over by Liam Neeson as well as everybody else in the places, that's Oscar Schindler.
And we use that as like a running gag through that commentary to kind of like basically like as a coping mechanism. It's like all the dark crap was going down in that movie. We're like, well, it's Oscar Schindler.
It's very glass half full, glass half empty when we approached Schindler's List. Like he was really dreading it. Goes, oh man, it's gonna be so relentlessly dark, and that's not untrue. Of course, things are gonna get really dark in that movie. By the same token, though, again, like again, there's a really great journey in arcs, and I'm absorbing the powerful powerful thing, the performance, and where we're going with Oscar's arc and everything. It's like, oh my god, look how powerful! He's going to save all those people with paperwork. He's going to deal with paper. He's going to save all those people. Just write names on a list, and that's the thing I kept at him with, and I guess we just kind of get sucked up in the it's Oscar Schindler anyway. So our ridiculous stuff to the side here. Back to you.
Liam Neeson is one of many people's acting idols. So I've got to ask Katie, who are some of your acting idols?
Oh gosh. That's a great question. Okay. So growing up, it was okay. He's gone off a little off the deep end, but growing up, I was obsessed with Jim Carrey. Like, I just loved his story that he was like this rags to riches story. But like currently, let's see. Oh, I really look up to Seth Rogen. I like the fact that he could just like write. He knows what he can do, right? And he can write for himself, and he puts his friends in his like films, and he just like, I don't know, he just seems like a genuine type of guy. I really love him. I also really look up to Alison Brie. I think she is so good at comedy and drama. Yeah, she like, and she always seems so genuine, and she kind of also like stays like out of like the limelight and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm not like always like looking at her like all over the place. So I kind of like really respect how she just like balances acting and having a real life as well. Gosh, I'm probably leaving people out, but those are who came to mind. I mean, I love Jennifer Aniston. I have to like throw her in there. I think she did it right too. Like, she kind of she did Friends, and then she was able to like have a successful movie career after, and I'm like, hey, good for you. And she did that Oscar movie Cake, which, you know, didn't do as well as the others that year, but I was like so impressed that she was able to like really play such a dark character. Yeah. What about you guys? I feel weird that it's all about me.
Let me see. That's a good question. Dragon, go first, and then I'll kind of contemplate my answer.
Well,
it's hard.
Well, I mean, look, the difference is we're not exactly actors. That's kind of the difference there. But I mean, if we're talking about idols, I mean, you know, look, if we're just talking general idols, I mean, for me instantly, well, I mean, look, I'll just name a few because
in terms of podcasting, like in terms of a podcast idol, Dragon and I can both agree Kevin Smith is probably our biggest influence, right, Dragon?
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin Smith. I like that. Worship the man.
I love him. Yeah, you know, I've never listened to his podcast. I need to, but I listened to when he was on Anna Faris Unqualified.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was great. And he talked about his heart attack and all that. And I was and he like has the surgeon over for lunch or dinner or something. Like, I don't know. He just seems like a cool guy. I'm excited for the reboot.
Yes, Jade and Silent Bob reboot. It's kind of a reunion piece for the Askew-verse. It has a lot of fun cameos and stuff built into it. It's gonna be fun.
Honestly, in terms of a modern day acting idol, this is gonna sound super cheesy and like a man crush, and it totally is. Ryan Gosling.
No one can fault you for that. He's great. His voice is just like not even
man. Gosling he's just the whole package. He's got the voice, he's got the eyes, he's just one of those actors, kind of like what you were saying about Neeson, where he's just got that cool factor. You know what I mean? He just draws you in.
He's got swag.
Anyways,
I do get giddy as a schoolgirl when Patrick Fabian shows up and things, but I can't really call him an idol. I love that guy so much. But
of course, Vera Farmiga.
Oh well, she again. She's the almighty right there, Vera Farmiga. Oh yes. Well, I mean, if we're talking like just like Vera Farmiga and Grey DeLisle are kind of. I put them on the tallest pedestals they'll make in the factory. To put it lightly, just they're perfection. But beyond that, like I guess like Seth MacFarlane be one I'd go. There are some others I won't necessarily go into, but yeah, it's like Scott Snyder's a writing idol, Kevin Smith podcasting, and I guess Seth MacFarlane's kind of for pretty much a little bit of everything, writing, directing, producing. Acting, voice acting, the whole shebang. Anyway, enough about us. You're trying to weasel out of it, Katie Garland. I know what you do. You pull the wool over my eyes.
Okay, sorry. Back to me.
Yeah, it's back to you. Here for you. God, what was I? Oh, yes, right. Okay, so can you give? Okay, so let's let you bring it. Talking about acting and such. You are a student of the Stella Adler School. Acting. I don't know how recent development that is, but yes, you are, right?
Yeah, yes. You guys did your homework. Yes, that is a recent development. After being in Atlanta for a little over a year, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna move back to LA and like have LA be my home base, I kind of want to do it right this time. Like the first time I moved out to LA, I kind of was like, I just came out here and was like, oh, I'll just like get an agent and like just start being and stuff. Like that's how easy it is, right? No. And I kind of like took a bunch of different acting classes. Like I just did everything, but I was always trying to do like audition and at the same and find agents like and all that crap at the same time. So I really wanted to do like a full-time conservatory. So I started Stella Adler. I applied to a few and I got into a few, but Stella Adler I just had the best feeling about after like looking into it and touring it. So yeah, I started in October and I'm doing their 2-year full-time program. So thanks for letting me do this tonight because I actually have class tomorrow night till like 9 my time. So thank you for doing this tonight, by the way.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no problem at all. So let me ask you this. I don't know if they've quite gotten to this lesson in the lesson plan quite yet. But no, I'm just throwing it out there. Have you ever made the unsafe choice? If so, can you give me an example of like when you're in a scene or you're doing an improv? Can you like a moment when you've made the unsafe acting choice?
Ooh. Do you mean? So if you mean unsafe by like that's, I don't know what's going to happen. Yes, I've made that unsafe choice.
That's the one.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I think it's always more interesting to make the unsafe choice. Unless it's like, well, that doesn't work with what the text says, like either in the scene before or the scene after. If it just doesn't make sense, like obviously don't do that. But if you can make a choice that let's think of an example. So last couple weeks ago, I had to do this scene and we were in like Civil War times, and it was me and a girl, and all we were given was dialogue. We weren't given like who we were talking about. We weren't given really anything. But like in the text, it was saying like, then character A cries here, or then character B leaves. And so we had to like make all these choices that fed us that still made sense within the text. So I remember there was a couple lines where we were like, oh, what's that noise? And my sister's like, oh, it's light, it's thunder. And but I made the choice that she was just saying it's thunder and that it was really guns and we better fucking hide because the North is about to come kill us. And I don't know. I think that makes the scene way more interesting if you see like fear in my eye.
Oh, yeah.
And also like let me try and also calmly get my sister to help me, like, and we were like preparing food or some, like, I remember she'd like killed a rabbit and I was like, oh well, let me fix it with the oil and all that. And I kind of like I kind of decided, oh, I'm gonna start like kind of packing everything up, and so that we go hide at the end of the scene, as opposed to just kind of, I mean, that's kind of written in there a little bit, like with the what is that noise? But the people that played it like it, oh, it is just thunder. It wasn't. It like that wasn't like, also that didn't kind of, even if it was just thunder, it didn't kind of show how people were like constantly living in fear back then.
Mhm.
And I mean, I get that like in a war, you aren't like afraid all day, every day. But it's like, why is that the scene we're doing? Obviously something interesting should have happened. And then there was like another scene where we were, it was during the French Revolution. So we were over in France and we had to like work on a garden, and I kind of decided that, oh, this is the garden that my brother showed me how to plant things, and he's dead. And again, like you don't, it's kind of unsafe because you don't know if you're going to have a full meltdown in class, or you don't know if you're not going to be able to like get your head around it. You're like, oh man, what if I like create this like crazy unsafe background, and then I go into it and I'm like so far removed from that, because that's obviously none of, like, I've had a pretty good life, so luckily nothing like tragic has ever happened to me. So that's also unsafe in that you're like, oh, am I going to be so far removed from that I'm not going to be able to believe that I'm in the circumstances? But you know what? That's what class is for, is to kind of make those unsafe choices so you can see what works and what doesn't. And it always does for me if you just kind of sit with it. And you know what else helps me is if I like dress for the scene. Something about being in costume, it really helps me become more of the character. I don't know what it is. I think because it kind of removes me, it like gives me license to like be another person. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. I felt like I talked a lot. Was that too long?
No. It's good. What can you tell us about Big Papa and 2%?
Oh, okay. So 2%. Well, Big Papa is the team that I'm on in Atlanta, and how I got on that team was, so when I first moved down there, I kind of reached out to all my acquaintances that I had. And this one girl that I knew from Stan Kerr Studios, which is where I took like my very first acting class ever in LA, had moved down there. And she knew I was like big into UCB. And she was like, oh, we're doing this Atlanta Indie Improv Festival. Do you want to like come be on the team? And I was like, sure. And we actually won a few rounds and we got pretty far. And the Village Theater in Atlanta, in Decatur, no, it's not Decatur. Atlanta. It's kind of like old Fourth Ward, if people know that area. They liked us so much that they started giving us a Friday night spot. And now it's Thursday at 10. And yeah, they let me like kind of just come and play whenever I'm back visiting. But that's really fun. It was really fun when it was on Fridays, because the other stage, that they have 2 stages, and the other stage had like all night karaoke. So after we would have our set, I would go over there and like sing a song or two. I sang Hakuna Matata for all the Disney fans out there. Among other things. But yeah, now it's Thursdays at 10, which is cool. And yeah, they gave us like an hour long on Friday nights, which like was kind of daunting at first.
That would be Yeah, I would definitely be daunted by that.
Yeah, so we usually only did like 45 minutes,
Right.
but it was cool. It like really helped me. And like even though I didn't really know any of these people, like I knew the one girl, we weirdly just had like really great chemistry. And like come to find out, they all trained in LA and moved to Atlanta, except the one guy, Eddie. He trained in New York or Chicago, or maybe both. Ooh, I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. But I feel like everyone else trained in LA. But yeah, it's Moretta Moss, Skylar Denny, Mallory Valley, something with a V, Eddie Greenblatt, and sometimes Jenica Hill will come play with us. She was on the team before I was on the team, and then she didn't do the festival, but then like now she comes back. Anyways, all the shows at the Village are really good. And then 2% is how I met Piper Henson.
Nice.
Yeah, so God, how did I? Oh, okay. So I was taking
kind of like frame this as like this is like we're getting into like the origin story of Just Giggle It right now.
Yes. So
Yeah.
what brought you to Just Giggle It via the Piper Henson Connect?
Yeah.
2%.
So 2%. God, I don't even know. I wish I knew my timeline, but this was, I want to say 5 years ago. Yeah, around 5 years ago, I was doing the UCB thing, and this guy that I was in 301 with, or I don't know, this guy I was in class at UCB. He was like, "Hey, we need another girl on our improv team. You want to come to practice?" And I was like, "Sure." And I went to practice, and it was like me and this guy and like 2 other people there, and it was really weird. And Piper wasn't there, and I was like, you know what? It's fine. At least I got to practice improv, and I kept going to these practices, and and then it started being at Piper's house, and I don't know. We kind of weirdly just like hit it off pretty quickly, yeah,
Almost like sorority sisters, eh?
Yeah.
and Piper's really good about like getting us shows and stuff. She's like the mom. She's really good at like submitting us and like doing the paperwork and stuff. And yeah, after and that's how I met Jesse too. McBride or Goldar, I don't know.
Oh, I love McBride, man.
Yeah, he was on that
And
team.
Armand himself.
Yeah, he was on that team too. And I remember one day after practice, she said to me and Jesse, she's like, you should come to my next sketch team meeting for Just Giggle It. And I was like, yeah, I like making sketches and like putting stuff online. Like, thanks for inviting me.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I went to a couple meetings. They had like a screening in Piper's backyard of all their sketches once, and I was like, oh my God, you guys are like legit. Like the quality is great, and you guys have so many, and you just churn them out. And I was like, I felt so like honored that they like let me like start coming to meetings and stuff. And it also like motivated me to like write out my sketches that I thought were funny. Yeah. So I guess that was our segue into Just Giggle It.
Speaking of Just Giggle, let me ask you this. So, so as you probably discerned from some of the episodes of the Kate-Ening season of the Grab Bag, I did pick up on something. We've been picking up on this for a while, and you can tell us if we're crazy here just now. But based on heightened episode 2, so I mean, you and Joshua Thomas, you seem to have kind of a famous dynamic, as it were. Kind of like I'd equate it to Garfield and Nermal. That's really kind of what I get out of the dynamic here. Like, it was like how Sam Raimi treats his actors sometimes. Like how is. So, like, especially based on where Carmela's story seems to be going in Harley Quinn the Joker episode 6, I gotta ask. So, is there something there? Is there a bit of a real rivalry? Is there something bleeding into the other work? Like, what's the deal?
Well, we'd have to get Josh to weigh in, but yes, we've become like brother and sister. Like I don't know how it happens. Like, I think sometimes because I am a little Phoebe-esque at times, and I can have my like airhead moments. And also, like, sometimes when we'll be shooting, and Josh is really good about keeping like watching the time. Well, not watching the time, but making sure that things are moving. Um, and sometimes I think like I'll be like joking around too much, and I'll be like, "Well, wouldn't it be funny if we like did this line?" And he'll be like, "No."
This takes back to that moment in Heighten that just cracks me up when I revisit, because you have those two bits. One that's as kind of our picking of the root image here. The whole I watch Back to the Future.
Oh yeah. By the way, when I first read that and was delivering the line, I was delivering it like, "Oh yeah, I like Back to the Future." Like that's and Josh is like, "No. No. It needs to be more just like random Katie." Like I like so we all look at you like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And so I guess I do that. I guess because sometimes I go off on my although Josh does that too. He goes off on his bits, and I have to like keep the schedule going. But I don't know. I guess the
If you
combination.
ever shot down coconut water, he loves that bit.
No, and you know, I've Josh. God, every time I see Josh, he's drinking a rock star or a Monster, for the record. But yeah, I do have these airhead moments, and I think we kind of probably play it up a little bit for Heightened. Like we like each other, obviously.
Of course.
I mean, it's a little bit of like a man on the moon, kind of like Jerry the King Lawler versus
Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman. I knew it was Andy. It's funny. I wanted to say frickin' Andy Warhol, but I knew that wasn't right.
But yeah, I think Josh just for some you know, when the closer you become to someone, the more their habits start to annoy you. And I think because sometimes, especially shooting days, we spend a lot of time together. And so I think my like bubbly side notes and little jokes for whatever reason just really piss him off. And so yeah, so sometimes I will like egg him on a little bit, but
so speaking of Joshua Thomas, guess who just now decided to share this hangout?
Josh.
You know, it's funny. It's the call Josh Stubbs at just for a smidge. You know, light ways. Like I made the disclaimer at the start of the season. I thought I'd share this with you just in case, Katie, that at the start of the season. Because again, if anyone recalls, the end of we asked Mark Sipka who we would like, who would like the theme of the next season after, and he picked Katie Garland. And basically once I was kind of getting the word of mouth spread here, Josh Thomas said, "You realize if you do a season on the minute you do the season on Katie Mary Garland, you're dead to me." So
wow. So his rivalry is way more than mine. I don't know. I think I just like get under his skin sometimes, and I don't know why.
I'd like to think it's more of a levity sort of thing. I like to think he was just joking about the whole brother-sister dynamic. At least that's what I've convinced myself of.
It's totally a brother-sister dynamic. I mean, Josh is like one of the Josh. Me and him would FaceTime when I was in Atlanta, so it's a loving brother-sister relationship. But yeah, I think now. I don't know. We like
basically if it's brother sister, it's kind of a reverse Lucy and Linus. You're more the Linus, and he's more the Lucy. That's kind of the.
Yeah, exactly. And we just shot another episode of Heightened, and yeah, it's actually me, him, and Nikki, the new Harley Quinn, and yeah, he doesn't hide how annoyed he gets with me in that at all.
I just keep thinking of that hallway scene too, like when of course they have that great, almost Birdman-esque shot where he's walking through the YouTube soundstage, and you stop him.
Yeah, isn't that cool? How he that's also very like Saturday Night Live. Yeah, I love that shot. We also have a walking shot. Not with him, with me and Nikki in the beginning of Heightened 3. And I was like, oh, this is just going to be our new Heightened thing where we're like walking. And of course, Josh is like,
hallway, man.
In Piper Henson's case, I guess it's crawling after a ping of the knee, I suppose. But,
yeah. Yeah, but I think also sometimes I point out the obvious, which that's another one of Josh's pet peeves. However, that day Piper wasn't available, and I was ADing a sketch before we shot Heightened with him and Nikki, and he like whenever Josh gives me a compliment now, I'm like, oh, I know I'm good because Josh is complimenting me. And I remember I gave some advice to an actor, and he was like, that's a good AD right there. And I was like, oh my God, I got a compliment.
Like a Mean Joe Green Coke and a smile moment.
Yeah. But and then, like, in Josh's defense, when I went to get lunch, I used his credit card, and then I forgot to give it back to him. Like, I'm just, typical Katie. I want to drive back to his place the next day. Oops. But yeah, so it's little things like that I think
that's a sitcom we need right there. Okay, you're looking for a sitcom in front of a live studio audience. That's the one you should do. You and Josh Thomas just getting on each other's nerves.
I think that would do great. But again, like, it's not just me. Like, I had to go over to his house all the way in Glendale from Hollywood, and for those of you who know, that's in traffic. It's like an hour.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that distance. Yes.
Yeah, to do ADR for something, and then he just texted me today saying that I had to come redo it because his computer is fried.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or Joshy.
So,
right.
yeah, we love each other.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
So, let me ask you this. So, what is your what's your writing process? Because you mentioned you're writing some of the sketches, and I mean, I presume, like, I believe you wrote the new Heightened episode coming out, right?
Well, not the one that we shot, but
Okay.
I did write one that we're gonna shoot. And Josh said, and he can deny this all he wants that I have it in writing, but he says that it was one of the funniest things I've ever written. But can I say nothing I write ever gets made? Except for you can't wait. No, what is it? The one I did with Piper. Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because Josh was like back in Texas, and me and Piper wrote that and shot it. Because Josh wasn't around.
Yeah, but the first time that happened, right? It was one of the first times without Josh, and was not involved at all in the thing.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. Yeah, although he did. There was one the part where we were shooting. Actually, the part where we were shooting at the cafe and then at the apartment, the sound wasn't great. So Josh actually helped us with we like came and did ADR, and he like edited that onto
Right.
onto the. So he wasn't totally, but he wasn't there on the day. He wasn't there on the day at all.
The shadow of Joshua Thomas in the room, so to speak.
Yeah. Like, and also like we would be talking a lot. We'd be watching and like talking, to match up the audio, and I'd be like, "Oh, Josh, this take's gonna kill." And so I think also like him having to watch me like fuck up and like tell him like, "Oh, Josh, use this take." I think that's a little bit where the animosity comes from, because I'm not helping. I'm just telling.
And yours normal, man. I love it. It just cracks me up.
I'm just telling him what to do. But yeah, so I didn't write the one. Josh, so we had decided we were going to shoot a sketch, and then he wanted to shoot. He's like, but we're going to have the camera people, like the crew for the day. Is there something else easy we can shoot? And the Heightened episode I had written was easy, but Piper and Poncio weren't available that day. So Josh was like, "Oh, I'm just going to write something real quick for you and Nikki." And I was like, "Cool." But yeah, that's a good one. And it's cool to see Nikki like out of her Harley and Josh out of their Joker makeup, Harley Quinn makeup. But yeah, it was fun getting to act with her. I'd never acted with her before, like, because Carmela has never been in a scene with Harley Quinn, really. So yeah, it was fun.
So how did you actually get involved with Harley Quinn in the Joker versus the real world? Like, was there a process of like, I don't know, we have this character and you might be really good at it?
Because Josh Thomas has teased up that there's a really interesting kind of story in the creation of Harley Quinn and Joker. There's a lot of kind of naysaying before the thing eventually got made. So I'm wondering, you coming to the project, you weren't there at the beginning, right?
Well,
Were you?
God. Okay, so Josh has told me I'm not allowed to speak on behalf of Just Giggle It. But this is just speaking on behalf of me. Okay, so I will say, so we used to be better about having like meetings every Sunday where we would read a bunch of scripts that we had all written. And Josh came, and this was when Brianna was in Just Giggle It, the original Harley Quinn, and he had seen her do Harley Quinn for Spoof Troop.
Spoof Troop.
Spoof Troop, and she's obviously really, really good on that. So, and he's really into the old Joker cartoon. So he had written the first episode of Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. And I'm a Marvel girl. I'm not a DC girl. So I didn't even know who Harley Quinn was. This was before like Suicide Squad. This was forever ago. I knew who the Joker was, obviously. But so we read it out loud. I was there for the first read through. And I think it was at Alex's old place. So I think it was Alex. I think Jesse was there. Josh, Brianna, Piper, me. I think that's it. I could be wrong. Sorry if I'm leaving anyone out. Oh, and this guy Jason, I think, was there, who used to be our DP, and he would write a lot of stuff.
Is it Jason Ramlow or a different Jason?
Yeah, no, that Jason. And yeah, so we read it, and Brianna did the Harley Quinn voice, and I was like, what the fuck is that voice? Like, because I just like I didn't know. Like, I had never seen Harley Quinn.
Oh, you poor girl, being in the room saying, what kind of voice is she doing? That's horrible. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm feeling swell with pity for you right now in the past.
Also, it was just like, we just kind of, and Josh was kind of like patting himself on the shoulder, like, isn't this so good? And me and Piper were like, yeah, we're like, it's fine. But like, none of us were like, I think Josh was probably laughing out loud, but no one else was really like laughing out loud. Well, maybe everyone who like got the references, but me, and I don't know, maybe not Piper, but I wasn't laughing because I didn't get any of the jokes really. And also, like, it wasn't like we were just gonna all meet to read this script. We read probably like 10 scripts that day, or at least 5. So we were just that was just kind of another one we read. And Josh was like, what do you think? What do you think? And I was like, I don't get it. Like, it's like, who's Harley Quinn? Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I'm the wrong person to ask. It's kind of like what you were saying when you're watching Chillin' and Grillin'. You're like, it's not that it's not funny. You're like, I just don't get the humor because I don't smoke. You know, right. Like it was like that. Like, I was like, I just don't get it. So they shot the first episode, and I wasn't able to help because this is when I was working at the fucking Tower Bar, which is this like nightmare of a restaurant, and was in class, so I wasn't able to help with crew stuff. But then it did really well. So they're like, we got to shoot more episodes, and then Josh wrote Carmela in, and he even said, like, I wrote her in for you. Like, I wrote this with you, and I'm pretty sure he said I wrote this with you in mind. Like, we didn't hold auditions or anything.
Deep down, he's got a soft spot for it. I think that's adorable. It's nice.
He does. We love each other.
Yeah. It came for this relationship, but it's almost like a Bart Simpson, Lisa Simpson dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but originally I wasn't even going to be able to shoot it because they were shooting that episode when I was going to be out of town for my cousin's wedding. And so I was like, oh, I can't do it. But then they ended up pushing it not for me. Don't get it twisted. But they ended up shooting it because someone else who actually mattered had a conflict. No, I don't know. I think something with I don't remember. It's above my pay grade, but someone else had a conflict. So we ended up having something with the crew, I think. Because I mean, that episode, it's the production value is amazing. We were just
you had a big episode. You were episode 4. You were the party, and you were the one hosting the party. It's a big role.
Yeah, so we were able to get like 2 cameras instead of just 1, and like we had an AD and a scripty. So it was just like a lot of moving parts for us. So we had to move it because we didn't realize like how big of a undertaking. Because I mean, we shot the first. It was a 2-day shoot, and we were on set. I want to say like 3 p.m. to like 4 a.m. 2 nights in a row. And believe it or not, it's hard to get extras to come out at Sunday night for free at like 9 p.m. Yeah, so it's just like a lot of moving parts. And yeah, I remember Corey, who plays Frank in the first episode. He was really nice and like helped us just like where to put the extras, and he helped us that day for free, which was really nice. And yeah, it's so funny to like shoot those things because Josh is the director writer, obviously, and I'll do a scene and then he'll come up to me in his like Joker makeup, but he'll talk in his Josh voice, giving me notes, and I'm just like, I can't even I can't like listen to you like this right now.
I want to really quick. I just want to say something on the behalf of Joshua because sometimes we've been taking some pot shots at him. You know what? I want to stick up for the guys for a second. I just want to say, you know what I always respect about Joshua Thomas? I love that he never like whenever like he's kind of like on the stage as the Joker. Like he never breaks the illusion. Like when he has the makeup on, aside from when filming, obviously. Like when like he's reporting on things going on at the set, he's never speaking as himself. Like when he's on camera, like giving people an update about Harley Quinn, the Joker, or if he's like on the doing a live stream. I love that.
Yeah, no, he's and he'll like when they're doing his makeup, like he'll sit there sometimes if we're at his house and just watch like the Joker cartoon, and yeah, he's into it. And I will say, like, I remember watching that episode and being like, damn, Josh, you can edit too.
Editor extraordinaire.
Yeah, because you watch the dailies and stuff and you're like, oh yeah, but it's the way you like edit it together, especially with the like beer pong and like, I don't know, it's going back and forth. And I was like, oh my God, Josh. So yeah, he's talented.
One of my favorite lines comes at the end of that episode from you, Katie, where you basically quote, "This is the end."
Oh yeah, Josh wrote that in for me because like "This Is the End" is like my favorite movie.
You're a big fan of the Seth Rogen Evan Goldberg partnership there.
Yeah, I think "This Is the End" is legitimately one of the best comedies of the 2010s.
Oh, yeah, that is my favorite movie of that year, probably of like that 5-year period. Like that movie, it's just so funny. I watch it over and over. Sorry, that's a whole nother story, but God, that movie's so funny. And that's why I like Heightened too, because I'm like, just seeing people kind of be heightened.
Is essentially kind of like the "This Is the End" thing.
Yes. So that's why I like Heightened so much. And
you know what's really interesting about "This Is the End," Katie, that my coworkers and I kind of discovered about the trajectory of Seth Rogen's career?
Oh, tell me.
I feel like Knocked Up was almost kind of like that one was almost kind of like a test run of what they are going to do with "This Is the End."
Yeah, because Jonah Hill and Jay Baruchel and
like that whole crew are literally just like, they're not technically playing themselves, but they're playing themselves. I mean, it's like Jonah Hill's character is named Jonah, Jay Baruchel's character is named Jay. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Like, I'm not a huge Knocked Up fan, but it's only because there's not more of that in it. Like when they're just like sitting around like bantering and being bros, like those are the parts that like I was cracking up at the most.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know. But that's But yeah, oh gosh. And I love that like Franco is just like totally okay with playing this kind of pretentious guy. Like that's the camera from 127 hours.
Yeah. We've gotta go into my all-time favorite Franco bit, all right?
Oh, what is it?
Okay, Spider-Man 3.
Oh God, I know what this one is.
Yes, you know what this one is, Dragon. Okay, so Katie, do you remember the scene in Spider-Man 3? It's like right after Harry like has his like convoluted plot to steal Mary Jane away from Peter, and they're at the diner, and Pete and Harry's basically gloating about like, ha ha ha, I stole Mary Jane.
I'm the other guy, Pete. It's me. I'm the other guy.
Ah, yes.
Okay, well, in that scene, there's a waitress, like after Peter like kind of leaves in a huff, like there's a waitress who's like, freshen up your coffee. And Harry just nods, and she's like, how's the pie? And then Franco just looks at the camera, and he just gives the biggest, most epic shit-eating grin ever. And he's just like, it's so good.
Oh, I need to
Katie,
rewatch it.
If I told you how long that's been a running gag, you would not believe me.
Oh, I mean,
how many times we brought up the pie?
I know how long that's been a running gag. That's literally been a running gag with my friends and in my friend circle since that movie came out.
Oh, the running gag for me is this is from This Is the End. It's like, so something not that chill happened last night. we say that on the daily. And so yeah, I think Josh was like, we gotta write Katie something in from This Is the End. Because I mean, I quote that more than Friends these days.
I love Michael Cera in This Is the End. He has a very short but sweet role in that movie.
Well, so I've watched that movie with the commentary on, and Seth,
good on you. I love that.
Yeah, they said that he was in more scenes, but they had to cut him out because you were getting like, he's so lovable in that movie that people were getting like too attached to him. So like when he dies,
he has like the perfect death in that movie where he's wandering around like accusing people of stealing his cell phone.
Where's my
and he's like, oh shit, I found it. How embarrassing.
Oh, does this Coke smell funny? But yeah, I remember when it was like the super bad cast when they were like having their little bit. I was like, oh, it's like super bad.
Right. Or Pineapple Express 2. That was also very enjoyable.
Well, the most meta part of the movie is when Franco and Seth are talking about their idea for Pineapple Express 2, because that's like probably an actual conversation they've had about their actual idea for Pineapple Express 2.
Yep.
Yeah. So my episode of Heightened is talking about, it's a lot about Hamilton, and that's all I'll say is I'm very obsessed with Hamilton. So but we haven't shot that yet. But hopefully we will. Let's just bug Josh about it.
All right, Katie, we could go down a rabbit hole about Hamilton. I'm a huge Broadway guy, but yeah, one question. Favorite song?
Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
Favorite song from Hamilton?
Oh, favorite song from Hamilton? Guns and Ships. The one about
not bad. Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice.
Yeah,
of course,
that is a rad.
Got the freestyle rap from Daveed Diggs.
I met Daveed Diggs once, and I almost peed my pants.
You saw it on Broadway, right?
No, I actually saw it in Atlanta at the.
Okay. I saw it actually at the Pantages.
Ooh, how was it?
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, I need to see it again. Next time it comes to the Pantages, I'm going.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
All right. So
what else?
Back to Carmela for a moment here. What are your goals for the Carmela character? Where would you, and overall, like specifically, what are the goals for Carmela as a character, and where would you like to see the series go as a whole, like in the future, like generally, like where would you like to see kind of Harley Quinn the Joker go?
Ooh, I don't want to give too much away.
Of course, I don't want to get you in trouble. Let me just be as vague as you'd like, so, you know.
Joshua Thomas is just watching this like,
Cállate, piñata.
there. He's got the Joker makeup on and everything.
Carmela, I'll remind you, you're not out of the woods yet.
Well, I will say, gosh, I remember like some other episodes that Josh has written that like we were originally going to be episode like 2, 3 or whatever. They're episodes that he's written, or maybe there's ideas of episodes. Anyways, I would like to see them kind of like grow as a couple. If it's probably kind of corny, but like when they like, I know it's like their dynamic is kind of me and Josh's dynamic. Like she's like da da da, and then he's like no. So I would love to see them have like more like sweet moments. And although I think it'd also be interesting to see kind of like Addison, just Addison. Addison kind of like go to the dark, and this isn't giving away anything. This is totally me just projecting.
Sure. Pie in the sky, just speculations.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to see Piper kind of, because it kind of alludes to it in some episodes. Like I think it would be fun to see Addison go like bad and like kind of like become one of them, and then become kind of like a but almost kind of like a Robin Hood, you know, where they like steal from the rich to give to the poor, like more of like that good bad guy, which
Interesting.
I doubt will ever happen, because that's, I mean, Josh wants to like honor the true Joker or whatever, but I think that'd be cool. Also, I know the fans would like to see like Batman and like what's her name, the redhead. Oh my God, Josh. Poison Ivy. God, he's gonna kill me for not knowing that. I think
as the resident Batman fan of the room, I'll give the girl a pass, folks. It's fine. It's all right. She's all good.
Thank you. I would have gotten it. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to see more like people from Gotham, or maybe them take like a field trip to Gotham or something. Yeah. And for them to, I don't know. Those are a bunch of ideas. None of them kind of relate to each other, but I don't know. As a whole, I would like to just see them grow. Which I think the fact that they're like friends with Addison, and like there has never been like any they've never like been tempted to kill her or wanting to, you know what I mean? So I think like that's kind of, the more likable the more you can root for them. Like I like that kind of stuff for them. And then Carmela, I don't know. I'd like to. What if me and Addison, we just joined the gang and just became bad. Started going down the path of crime. I think that'd be cool if we like all teamed up together and then went to Gotham City and like took on Batman. That'd be cool. What if I became like what's her name from Harry Potter? She's played by Helen. Oh god.
Helena, Tig, is a Helena Bonham Carter. Tig, you feel this one. I know nothing about Harry Potter. Feel this one.
The one played by Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah. What if I became like her?
Strange.
Yes, I would love to become like her, just like so evil. But who knows? Who knows?
All right. So we've talked Joshua Thomas, we've talked Piper Henson, but there's another one of the big three pillars in the Just Giggle It room that we need to talk about, and you've co-starred with him in a couple very memorable sketches. We need to talk about, say it with me, Dragon.
We've got
the ball, Alexander.
All right. So, Katie, specifically, the question that I have for you is, I think the two big sketches that everyone remembers you for co-starring with Poncio in is, of course, When You Wish Upon a Star and Cat Lover. And the interesting thing about both those episodes is that they both co-star you alongside like CGI Poncio, like superimposed onto another thing in a very like weird high concept character.
Yeah.
So
And he's
I
always
love
the
that
one.
dynamic of like Poncio playing these super high concept weird characters
How
against.
do you play off against Poncio as a cat? Who, by the way, is one of the, again, just the acting on that. Cause that's what I'm talking about. The whole Alexander Poncio. That's him, like that's Poncio doing D'Onofrio, which is one of my favorite shades of Poncio. So, like, how do you play off of Poncio as a cat in that sort of scene?
Gosh, okay, so I remember for that we had like a stuffed cat without a head. And God, I don't even think I know he wasn't there the second day. I don't even think he was there. I think we were just kind of like saying his lines. But obviously I had heard him say it a million times because at just like at table reads and stuff. So I had his voice in my head. Maybe God, I feel like an asshole. Maybe he was there the first day, but I remember the second day it was literally me, Jason, and Jesse. I want to say, because it was like we just had too much to do. There were 2 days I was there. There was a whole nother day when they did that stuff out with the dog cop. So
Okay, I'm a cop, Russ Copeland.
yeah, forgive me. So I don't know how many days they actually shot, but yeah, I think I just like had him in my head, honestly, because like I had heard him say those lines a million times. Like, go ahead, Michael.
Have a Claritin.
Have a Claritin. Maybe he was there one of the days. Cause like I did like really just hear his voice when I was doing it. And like, oh my God, I remember the part when like Jesse, when like the little paw and he puts which by the way, that originally was going to be played by Mark Sipka.
I know, yeah.
And I think he backed out of it because he didn't want to kiss me, guys. He's like, Piper's the only co-star I kiss. What are you talking about? No.
Okay, I'm gonna put your mind at ease there, dude, because it was I believe it was a cursing thing. You didn't want to do that.
Yeah,
I think that's what
that's what it was. I know.
Wrestling was an elaborate cover story, but I'd take the former.
Oh, it's a cover story. No, I'm just kidding. That was just the running joke on set because I was like, what? But yeah, so the part when they were like having to put the pill into his mouth with the fake cat paw, I remember I had to leave the room because I could not stop laughing.
It is hysterical. I don't blame you.
I was like, it was so funny. Alex must have been there that day because it was just so funny to hear like, take Claritin, Michael.
Like how 9000 meets Hannibal Lecter as a cat. That's what he's doing there. It's just
yeah. Gosh, that was so long ago. Piper, I will say, I remember Piper on that set too was such a trooper, like having to hold, like when I was in the bathroom, the way she had to like hold the mic. I was like, man, you were really getting an arm workout there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just a really good actor. No, no. I think like because
well, you're not wrong.
No, thank you. I think because I could just hear Alex's voice because we had read it out loud so many times is how I could do that. The Wish Upon a Star, though,
that was kind of like the opposite of Cat Lover because that's like lovable. Well, I mean, it starts out as like lovable, gleeful Poncio, but then it kind of takes a turn.
Yeah, which
of the post-credit thing. Like, I was the star.
Yeah, I never saw Alex in that makeup or anything, or had like read that out loud with him.
I would love to see some behind-the-scenes photos of that makeup.
Oh, I'm sure Piper has them somewhere. She's really good. Piper's really good about taking pictures, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. That I think I'm pretty sure, and Josh, I'm sure will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Josh was directing me on that, and probably Piper too. And they're like, just just do it the way you want to do it. And then they were like, okay, now just like go on and on and on and like talk quicker. And that I just kind of like, I just kind of pretended like I was actually wishing upon a star on that one.
You had the best lines in those two, by the way, because I remember the thing that I think it keeps cracking me up when I revisit Cat Lover is cats can't stab, Michael.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I remember there was like a lot of things like that that I wasn't surprised, but I guess the way they edited it, I was like, oh yeah, that's that's funny. The way it like, because we were trying to play it really serious, you know what I mean? Like the whole part when he like is evil and stuff, like and we were trying to play it like there's an act, you know, we're trying to play it serious so that it would be really funny. Yeah, which well, I guess
flip
worked.
side of that, I'm sorry.
Oh no, go for it.
I was gonna say on the flip side too, you have like bits where, with "When You Wish Upon a Star," where you have like kind of the rambling of just like we basically just wish upon wish. You want to like the Oprah, you want to go on the Oprah show and spin off from that somehow. Just, oh god, it's really funny.
Yeah, and I didn't know that like my volume was going to be lowered while you hear like Poncio like talk, but I really liked the way they did that. You just kind of like hear like my like high voice in the background while he's having a meltdown. Yeah,
Literally.
yeah, God, it's crazy how like God the editing can just really make or break a sketch.
But speaking of Cat Lover and speaking about kind of like playing the bit of drama within the scene, let's talk about brother sister serious talk. Like, how do you feel when you kind of bring the drama into the comedy and so on and so forth? I mean, that sketch was kind of going for like the Norman Lear meets absurdist humor. It was it's kind of like where again you have like the golden age of sitcom where you had like an All in the Family where again we're having hilarious dialogue, but by the same token, again we do have some serious stakes sometimes, there's some serious discussion. Like, how do you feel about doing something like that?
I loved it, and can I say like Alex is he's also like such a good dramatic actor too that it really helped because me and him were like really trying to play it like our mom just died. You know what I mean? Like and like actually cry and like have just like a meltdown together. And had I been with someone who wasn't like playing the sticks like that, it would have been a lot harder for me to stay in it. But because he was such a good scene partner,
A very generous scene partner.
yeah,
you could say.
yeah, it worked. It worked. It was really hard to keep a straight face when. So the part where he's like spitting on me or whatever.
That's the Sam Raimi thing I was alluding to because I heard Joshua Thomas specifically was the one flinging that on you.
Exactly. That's just Josh spraying water on me. It was so hard to like.
It's like Joshua Thomas just pulling like a big brother prank on a little sister.
And I love that you can tell the signature of Joshua Thomas, not by the because you won't be able to tell who's flinging it on you, but it's like Joshua Thomas is involved because of the editing on it. We cut back to it like 3 times, or the way we hold it. That's a Joshua Thomas edit right there. That's him.
Oh yeah,
that's his fingerprint right there.
That was the hardest part of the sketch. Was like just like trying not to like, because like if water's coming at you, you want to just keep your eyes closed. Like that's what your body naturally reacts. That's how it reacts. So it was really hard to keep my eyes open for that. That was the hardest part, and it was hard not to laugh because Josh was like, ha! And then, damn it, Katie, stop laughing. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's funny. He's like, keep your eyes open. I was like, I'm sorry. And then it cuts back and I'm like dry again. I'm like, oops, we didn't think about that. But yeah, no, it was really fun. And we actually shot that and Chillin' and Grillin' in the same day.
Really?
So we shot that, and then I had to like get my stoner on. I was like, okay.
Yeah, Chillin' and Grillin' must have been the Joshua Thomas fault. He must have shot and just kind of held on to it for a while.
Yeah, because Serious Talk came out really quick because he wanted it to wanted to premiere it at this like show and tell, this like outdoor sketch thing. So he got that done really quick. And then I asked him once, like, what's going on with Chillin' and Grillin'? And I don't know. He told me, but I don't remember. But yeah, he had a reason. He had a reason why he held on to it. But again, above my pay grade, we'd have to ask him why. Yeah, and I remember with Wing. Did you guys ever see Wing Check?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. You had the bit with was it Sagar or who was it that came up to you in this?
So, yeah, Sagar. So that we had shot that when we shot Making a Murderer.
Yes, yes.
So long ago. And I remember like I took a picture and it like popped up on my memory like 1 year later. And I'm like, Josh, like, why isn't this done? It's literally popping up on my memories from Facebook a year ago. And then he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. He's like, I just don't know if it's funny. I'm like, it's funny. But Chillin' and Grillin', I don't think it wasn't a funny thing. I think it was, he had to make sure the writer was okay with it or something. I don't know.
Right. The guy, the guy came up with the idea. The guy who he's kind of like the Zenners and that guy, right?
Yeah, which I think is his friend from Texas. I want to say. I don't know. I never met the writer on that. Josh just brought it to a table read one day, and we read it, and Josh, of course, loved it. And I was like, yeah, I guess it's funny. But yeah, because he's a big 420 guy, he got all of the jokes.
Yep. Let me ask something about, because you worked with you worked with McBride. By the way, I can't get enough of McBride. I love when he shows up. Just, oh man, it's McBride. I love that guy. Let me ask you this: there's this weird inconsistency. I don't know if I'm going crazy because sometimes I've seen on some videos.
No, the last name. Are you gonna ask? Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I think the G Goldar or whatever. I think that's his real last name. I think. God, I could be totally off.
So the point is, one of them might be a stage name. That's kind of what you're alluding to.
Yeah, and I think he wants McBride to be like his stage name. I think.
Cool name.
McBride is a good stage name.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'll say I started going by Katie Mary Garland because my first credit on IMDb went to a different Katie Garland. And I was like, okay, for acting purposes, I'm going to be Katie Mary Garland now. So that's why I have 3 names.
But yeah, you need it for the prestige, though. You know, Katie Mary Garland sounds important.
Yeah, it sounds more legit. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the McBride thing. I think he just thinks it sounds better. I don't know.
The only reason I kept like kind of like lingering on it is because I looked at the Domino's sketch, so Jesse Goldberg, because I was just convinced like, oh my god, am I that oblivious that I'm seeing an actor who just happens to look like Jesse McBride, and I'm thinking like, oh my god, is there another guy who just looks like McBride? And that's why I just kind of went nuts for a while, like, oh my god, there might be. I'm thinking, oh my, what if I miscredited the actor in the past?
It's like McBride's doppelganger just wandering around and also doing sketch comedy in LA.
Which made me have to go in the other videos and make sure, oh no, have I been getting it half wrong all this time?
No, yeah, same guy. God, I haven't talked to Jesse in so long. I need to hit him up.
He is wonderful.
Yeah.
He's always delightful.
Yeah, he's great. He's one of those guys that was always really like good about his lines and taking direction and everything. I mean, everyone is. Like, honestly, everyone's so good.
I remember I love the thing in Politically Correct Christmas, but you're in also, and you have a really, again, there's another bit that announced the whole Josh Thomas dynamic there with
Yeah, and you know, that was like, we shot that before I was even really friends with Josh. So I must have like annoyed him from day one.
They need to have a theme.
That was like, I'm pretty sure that was the first thing I ever shot. That was definitely on the first. That was when they used to shoot like 3 sketches in a day, or 4 or 5. They would do like all day, 7 to 7, and that was definitely my first day shooting with them. I think we shot that in the Sagar one that he wrote, The Beard, The Evolution of the Beard. Yeah, and like I don't watch porn. God, I could be mixing all these up, but I do remember Politically Correct Christmas Party was one of the first ones that was definitely the first one I shot with Josh. And it wasn't supposed to be me originally. I was a recast for someone who couldn't make it, or I don't know. So I was a recast. I don't know why. They were probably out of town or something. So I don't know. Maybe that's just the dynamic that he wrote into that sketch for him and that character, and that just kind of stuck. But yeah, he wasn't like that with me offset on that day. We didn't even
Okay.
yeah, I'll say that. Okay, Diane.
What was the so you don't deserve this? So what's the story? Because that's nothing but wonderfulness right there. So you don't deserve this. What's the inception of that one to your recollection? What do you, I mean, you factor prominently into that one, and it sounds like pretty accurate. I don't know.
I can tell you this story. Okay, so it was when I was in Atlanta, and me and Josh were FaceTiming, I think, or maybe we were talking on the phone. And he's like, "So, are you dating anyone down there?" And I was like, "No, like, I can't, like, I don't know. I haven't like met any guys down here that I like want to go out with, like, more than once or twice." And God, this might be too TMI, but I don't think Josh will care. And he's like, "Well, like, are you gonna get laid anytime soon?" And something like that. And I was like, "Josh, I'm not just gonna like let some guy sleep with me no matter like how long of a dry spell I'm in."
Oh God,
Like,
that's the beginning of it.
yeah. And he said, like, "Well, like, I don't know." It was just kind of like we were just kind of like talking like that. And I'm like, "No, Josh, I don't care like how bad or how long it's been or how bad I God, I hope no one like not my family's not listening." But it's like I don't care like how bad I want it. Like I'm too stubborn. Like they don't deserve to be inside of me.
Oh, God.
And like, yeah, and I
Katie
just kind of,
Garland is closed for business.
yeah, I was like, I am sorry. Like they need to be worthy. To, like I don't care how horny I am. Like I'm stubborn about that. And he was just thought it was so funny. And
There's a dirty Thor joke I can make, but I'm not going to.
you can make it. Do you want to?
No, I won't. Just go on.
So then, like, cut to Josh, like, wrote, he was like, "This is really funny. We should, like, make this into a sketch." And then I was visiting LA for a quick weekend for something. And he had, like, written it out. And Josh loves bits. So he like loved the idea of just doing a bunch of bits. And so like then on the day me and Piper just like wrote in actual things that we've experienced. And yeah, or I think we started before I got there, we started like a Google Doc and we were just adding like, "Oh yeah, like remember that guy when that guy didn't have breakfast food and that 35-year-old that still had roommates." And it's just like we just kind of like wrote our own things that had happened to us and just turned it into a "you don't deserve this." And then that was just us with a camera one day, the four of us, me, Piper, Josh, and Alex, doing that at Piper's house. And yeah, Josh wrote in that Zac Efron thing because I think he was like, "How should I end this?" Well, you're obsessed with Zac Efron, so there you go.
That is something from real life for you then. You're a big Zac Efron fan, right?
Yes, yeah.
It was Zadie a thing? I guess that's what I'm asking. Is Zadie a real thing? Or
Oh, Sadie, God, I wish. Let's just get that trending. No, yeah, I fell in love with Zach when I saw Hairspray. Like, something about a guy that can sing and dance. I just remember in that movie theater, I was like, "Yep, he does it for me." And then I got my wisdom teeth out like right after I saw it, and I was just like YouTubing him and like watching Lady's Choice, and then like High School Musical 2 was premiering on Disney Channel. On all these pain pills, like just watching nothing but. And again, this was before like Netflix was streaming, and so I was just like at the mercy of what was on TV. So I was just like watching High School Musical 2 on repeat. but YouTube was around, and I was just Googling like Zac Efron interview. And I was like, oh my god, and he seems like a nice guy. Like, I don't know. It was just...
Of course, now you have Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. Wait, have you seen that yet?
No, but I can't wait to see that because I went to Florida State and he was like the cautionary tale at Florida State because he like killed like girls at Florida State, and like in one of the sorority houses they like blocked off one of the rooms because that's where one of them was killed, and I think that's where he got arrested, was down in Tallahassee. So I can't wait.
I think you're really gonna like the movie. I think you're really gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that he's growing as an actor. I will say I met him once, and it was very brief. It was like at the New Year's Eve premiere, but he was very, very, very nice. And I don't know. I think we'd be really cute together.
Lady for life. Okay, let me ask you this: who would you like to play you in the JGI biopic?
Who would I like to play me? That's
yes.
Not.
Would you like to play Katie Garland?
Gosh, like at what age? Like growing up, or?
Well, basically, I guess
during the Just Giggle It era.
I have to include a little bit of range there. I mean, I don't know if we're breaking up the Lola for this quite yet, but it's my just.
And rest assured, Katie, one day there will be a podcast where Dragon and I will go over a Just Giggle It.
Yeah, we've been building a cast like the Avengers, essentially. So we do have kind of a number of people kind of cast and stuff for you guys, but not yet. So basically we're kind of brainstorming right now from the source itself. So Katie, who would you be satisfied? Like, she's playing me. I like it.
God, I don't know. Okay, so it'd have to be someone like in their 20s. I would assume.
Or a really young looking 30, maybe.
Yeah. Golly. Well, I do love Alison Brie. I said that earlier. I think she's really, really good. Gosh, I feel like I'll think of someone as soon as we hang up. But Alison Brie is the first person I can think of off the top of my head. Okay. I don't know, like, I'm kind of like, yeah. I think that's it. Because the only people I can think of are like people that would be playing like an older me. Like, I love Sally Fields, and I like think she would nail me, but like a young Sally Fields.
You know what? Since you say that, I do see it because I was looking at the photo right now. I was like, oh my god, yes, that's young. I could buy young Sally Fields as Katie Garland. I could buy it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to think of someone who's like younger than me that I'd want to. Again, she's a little bit, but Ellie Kemper, I think, would be good.
Ooh, yeah, and you do the impression of Ellie, don't you?
Yeah.
Ironic.
Yeah, I love her. I guess I'm just thinking of who I would want to play, not who should play.
Other way, flip it around.
Let's see. Okay, so I've gotten into that. I mean, she doesn't really look a ton like me, but have y'all watched, probably not, but that Netflix show, the reboot of Sabrina?
I know you're talking about it. I haven't watched it, but I know about it, yeah.
The girl on that is really good at being like...
You mean Sally Draper from Mad Men, that girl.
Oh, don't hate me, but I've never watched Mad Men.
Well, don't worry about it. It's like the point being, like she was the daughter in Mad Men who grew up and she went on to do the new Sabrina show. So you mean the main girl? You mean Sabrina herself?
Yeah, the main girl. She's really, really good at being like cute, but also like she's got a good head on her shoulders. I think she.
We might have found a winner in that one. I'm gonna file that one. We're gonna go back to when we do the kind of the final casting pass.
Cool. If I think of someone else, I'll message you guys, but that's
by all means, thank you. That'd be greatly appreciated.
All right, Dragon, I hate to say it, but we're kind of veering into like the last half hour here. So
okay, we'll do the greatest hits then. Okay, but before, we got to ask about the thing. I mean, let's go over a little bit of Becoming here. Some of the outside stuff here. Some of the other work, let's start with Becoming.
Okay.
What's the story behind becoming Amy? Because again, obviously you can tell we're a little, especially Tiki, we're a little fascinated by it here. So, like, how does that come about? Like, what is it? What's the story behind that? And more importantly, the big thing he and I are really wondering is it about like to you? What is it about? What is becoming about? And like the answer, I guess, like kind of the implied question, like, is it a stalker or is it kind of insecurity personified?
Okay, so how I played it, I really liked the idea um, that it's, just my insecurities, but how I was playing it was that I had a really bad relationship, like really, really bad. And he what it's a crazy stalker ex-boyfriend, basically, is how I was playing it. But that I actually had like a relationship with this man where we were in love, but then he just got possessive and crazy, and it turned into a Lifetime movie situation, and I had to get out of there. And what happens when I try and move on, and then this new guy, Chris, this is my first time like actually going out on a date, like after I've been like, you know what, I need to get back out there, like this terrible thing happened to me, but I need to get back out there. That's how I was playing it. I didn't write it, so I don't know if that's what Katie M had in mind. But that's how I was playing it. But I think she kind of wrote it open-ended, so you could kind of, put on it what you want to put on it,
Okay. Diggy, anything else on becoming, or should I maybe kind of shop around a little
Well,
bit?
yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. Like Katie, if you listen to the podcast we did on that, that one hit me pretty hard because it was like I'm one of those guys where it's like I very much am, like want to treat a girl right when I date her, but I feel like my insecurities kind of get in the way of that, and I'm very self-conscious of that fact, right? Like I'm very self-conscious of when I am when I am dating. It's like I don't know, it's a struggle for me. It's a struggle. And I don't know, I just felt like the short very much kind of brought that to the forefront as well. It kind of like, just as a male point of view, it's kind of just like almost like a horror story of like what you don't want to become, what we all strive not to become.
Ooh, yeah, I heard you talking about that, and that someone had commented that, and I love that. I love that. That's what some people are taking away from it, and maybe that's what she really like meant it as. I just, yeah, I honestly haven't thought about this in so long, but I mean, now that you say that, I think that makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, yeah, the fact, like, I think you were saying Dragon, you were the one you were like, well, he's not Batman. It's not like he just disappeared or something. Like, so that actually makes more sense. So I don't know. We'd have to get Katie Moeller. I don't know how to say her last name.
Me too.
It's been like, honestly, it's been like it's been a while. It's been a few years.
I think it's Mueller. That's what I think it is, like just with an O.
Moeller. Yeah, Moeller. We'd have to ask her because she wrote it and directed it.
Sure.
But she was really good about like letting me have my process. Like she even like got me a journal and was like, journal about, like, you know what I mean? Like, and we even, like, me and Chris, like one day we just like walked around Hollywood and went to Amoeba with Katie kind of like watching us, and like did kind of like a practice date, I guess.
Nice.
But Chris, I knew. That's actually why I got the part. Chris, I was in acting class with at Playhouse West, which I think it's Chris Gouchot. I know you're, but again, you know what? When I first met him, I thought it was Goosh, like douche, and like that's what I called him when I was in. That's what I called him when we were in class together. But I think it's Gouchot, but you know what? I actually have no idea.
I feel like the Gaucho pronunciation, but again, I'm not. It's a man's name. It's not just like a preference. So
yeah. So who knows? We'd have to ask him. But yeah. So we were in class together at Playhouse West, and we're buddies back then. And he was friends with Katie. I think they went to college together. I could be totally wrong, or maybe they worked together, but they knew each other. And yeah, he thought of me and recommended me to Katie, which I was like, thanks, buddy. And I remember I met with Katie and we were just like for coffee, and then we were kind of talking and stuff. And I was like, okay, so like, do you want me to read for you or audition, or like, how do you want to do this? And she's like, I don't even think I need you to. Like, it's yours. I was like, oh, cool. So that's how that came about. And then I was in she started doing sketches too, and I was in one of her sketches a couple years later. God, yeah, I haven't seen her or Chris in so long. But I texted both of them last night with the link to the Becoming podcast.
Right. All right. So just real briefly, I want to kind of cover some of your dramatic stuff, because you have some, again, from Becoming, of course, there's definitely some drama there, and you also have like there's some stuff I've seen you in that I'm a little curious about, because you have figure cut, I guess quarter or like QT, whatever the abbreviation is on that figure cut. Like it seems a little incomplete. Like what's these? Like you posted, I think you or someone posted figure cut. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, that was just a clip of a short film figure. I don't know what happened to the full movie.
Because you were really good in that. That's why I'm asking. I mean, like, oh my God, she's really going somewhere with this, man. And then, of course, it kind of cuts abrupt and says, "Oh no, where's it going? He's gonna go through the pages."
Yeah, it's fun. Isn't it funny? Like I'm drawn towards comedy, but I always get cast in drama.
Yeah.
But yeah, gosh. I think honestly, I think there's just a clip of that, because like I needed a link to just my part in that movie for a reel or for an email or something. I don't know, but yeah, God, I don't know where that full movie is. But that was just a short film that I just auditioned for and booked. But yeah, I'm a little crazy in it. But yeah, I think it's called QT because it's like QuickTime. I don't know. Like, God, that's so long ago.
Like she prescribed like a quarter milligram, so I thought it was okay, it's like quarter or something, right? It's like,
oh, no, I think it was just like it was a quick.
You're probably more right than I on this, because I got nothing.
To be honest, God, yeah, I'll look for that for you guys. I don't know where that is.
We'll cover it if we can find it. We'll definitely cover it. So
I remember, like, I really wanted that footage for my reel, and whoever, just the writer, director, whoever, they just like weren't giving it to me, and somehow somebody else in the cast got it, and then I guess I had the file of it somehow on my computer, and yeah, I think I just cut. I needed just a link to just the best part of it of me, and I don't know how you guys was that just up on YouTube? I don't know. Like I guess I just still have the link up there. Yeah, that was just a clip of a short film I did called Figure, where like there's these figures and these shadows and I'm trying to catch them, but I also have like a sleeping disorder, so I need to take pills. And that's another one, like Becoming, where it's like, are there really figures there, or is she crazy?
I caught one.
Yeah, but this was more like, is she crazy, or is she crazy? Like, am I crazy, or is she actually catching these figures? Yeah, that one's definitely a mind fuck too.
Speaking of crazy, I also wanted to just give you props on the crazy Katie videos. I don't know if it's a series of these videos or what, but they're really hilarious. Just like just those.
Oh yeah, there's just two. There's Crazy Katie gets a boyfriend and Crazy Katie goes speed dating.
The speed dating one, it was even more. It was just even more hilarious the whole time.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was just a friend of a friend put me in a sketch. It was called like Whatever Happened to My Space Tom, and I played his girlfriend. And he was like, "You're really funny. I'm gonna write something for you." And I was just kind of like, okay, like people say that shit all the time. Yeah, and then like Leon Pierce, who has a channel called, oh gosh, I should get this right, like Genius TV or something. One day he was like, I wrote a sketch for you, let's shoot it. And so he wrote that for me, and then he wrote Crazy Katie Goes Speed Dating. And the guy that plays one of the guys in that I randomly also knew from Playhouse West. The one that where I'm like, you probably eat all your veggies, and I don't know, that guy, Jake is his name. Me and him randomly were in a UCB class and a Playhouse West class together. So I was like, oh, everything comes full circle here.
Right. I'm sorry, did you want to throw one at her?
Yeah, let me see. What about Game Shakers, Katie?
Oh, Game Shakers.
Features Kel Mitchell, big part of nostalgia.
Yes, that is a Nickelodeon show. With Kel Mitchell, who, yes. Oh my gosh, I don't know about y'all, but I was obsessed with all that and Keenan and Kel growing up.
Keenan and Kel, you got our number right here, lady. Keenan and Kel, huge fans, love it.
God, telling all my stories now, it's like, it's so weird how like I get parts sometimes. So that show, Game Shakers, I auditioned for that show, just like little parts on that show, probably like 10 times. And I remember one day I was like talking to my manager, and I'm like, his name's James. I'm like, James, like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? And he's like, I don't know. They clearly like you, but like, just keep auditioning. I was like, fine. And then there was this role for Mod on the breakdown, and they were like, under 5 for Game Shakers, no time to audition, just, just submit, and we're casting off photos, basically. And so my manager, since we had just had the conversation of me being like so frustrated, ready to like not give up acting. No, it wasn't that dramatic, but it was just kind of like, am I not good? Like, it was just like one of these things where I was like, I don't get like why I'm not booking. And it was like one of those like moments where I was like, I just like, it was, yeah. So I was having a meltdown. And so my manager called and was like, so since you've seen Katie like 5 times, 10 times, like, when should I just tell her to be on set tomorrow? And this is all like, according to him, who knows how it really went down. And he was like, and then they just started laughing. And then they were like, okay, let me just run her by producers with her former like audition tapes that we still have. And yeah, then they were like, okay, Katie's got it. And so they just needed an actor. Like my line I really only had like one line, but it kind of got cut because Kel was yelling so much. But basically I played like he was going to this like earwax doctor, and he like had to cause a distraction because the kids did something in the office or something. And so he's like, I'm gonna get my ears waxed or whatever. So I'm like the nurse that holds him down, basically. It was just like my 12-year-old self is just dying because I'm just like getting to be with Kel while he's just going like nuts. He's just like that big.
You're doing it, man. You're doing it's what he made his bones on for years. It's like Kelly. There's a situation. Kel's freaking out, causing the diversion, the distraction. You're the poor person who has to deal with them. Oh my God!
Yeah,
you're living the dream.
It was great. And like I said earlier, like I love Friends, like that live studio audience. So it was really cool to like do the live studio audience thing. And like some of the writer producers like that were there on set giving Kel notes, you could tell they were like had also worked with him when they were doing Keenan and Kel. And because I remember when they were giving him notes and they would be like, remember on Keenan and Kel when we just like wrote that episode where you just like went nuts about the orange soda? I mean, I'm totally paraphrasing because this was a few years ago, but
that names a number of episodes, but I hear you.
Yeah, and they're like, remember when we were just writing a script, Kel goes nuts, and you would do something like really crazy and out there because we didn't even like need to like tell you what to do. Like, just do that, like what you used to do, like as like those days, like just go. Like, big as you can, and it was just me like trying to put like shit like tubes in his ears and then like out, and then while him being like, I can't do it, I don't know. But yeah, it was really, really cool. He was really, really nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we're going to loop back to Friends, bookends and all that. This isn't the last question or anything, but we need to ask again, Katie, another pivotal question in the realm of frienddom. All right. Are you ready? I don't think you're ready.
Oh, okay. Now I'm ready.
All right. Ross and Rachel,
Mm.
were they or were they not on a break?
Okay. They were on a break. They were on a break, but it was a very fresh break. But yeah, they were on a break. And Rachel was the one that said, maybe we should take a break. And he said, like what? Like go for frozen yogurt? And she said, no, from us. I will say it's a little shitty that like he went out and slept with someone that night. But again, it was Rachel that said like maybe we should take a break.
It was Rachel's
And
idea.
you know what? I will say, like, had cell phones been a thing, that never would have happened. Because she was like calling his apartment phone like over and over. But man, the 90s, early 2000s, what are you gonna do? But yeah, do you guys agree with me on that?
Heck
Like,
yeah, I agree with you. They were on a break. I don't care what Rachel says. They're on a break and they drag that out too long.
I honestly don't even know why it was like such a big deal, because in the context of the show, like you said, we clearly see we clearly see it go down. Like the evidence is on the tape.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like a traitor to like women for like taking his side, but like and I don't like excuse like him sleeping with someone like that night. However, he got mad because Mark was over. So like I see how it happened.
And also, look, I'd cite again. You have to keep citing the prom. I mean, the prom thing is kind of that's the thing. Kind of protects Ross from sin to an extent there, where it's like, well, I mean, again, he was always there and waiting for her, and for a change, he did something for himself, and there you go. It's like, I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, I haven't looked at it like that either. That's a good point.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Speaking of TV shows, I got to ask you this. Because of course, I believe you're a fan of the CW shows more accurately. What CW shows do you watch?
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and I'm really sad it's like over. I'm really sad. Because that show's cool because like so many people are on it I like recognize from UCB. So like that's also just like so cool to be like, oh, I've seen them performing at UCB for years. Like, good for you, man. You know what I mean? Like, it gives me and Piper and Josh and well, Alex, he's on a show, so he's fine. But it gives us three like hope, like, oh, we can make a living off of this one day. You know what I mean? So Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is probably I've watched. Okay, so when I was in Atlanta, I auditioned for Dynasty a lot. So I've watched that show a little bit. And God, I think that's it. Sabrina, because I want to say that's CW because it feels like CW, but that's Netflix.
Netflix, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as far as the ones that are currently airing, I think God, I like never know. No, I've never watched Riverdale. I think I'm too like, oh, it's not like the comics at all. I'm a little like
Well, the interesting thing about Riverdale is that I feel like it's almost like kind of like a dark and gritty, like David Fincher take on Archie's weird mysteries of all things.
Here's the thing, Riverdale, the first two seasons are really good. The third season, like halfway through the third season, things get really weird, and it's like, okay, now things just now have gone off the rails. Like I basically I'm watching now as a completionist. Basically, the CW show is like a cycle of abuse for some more than others. Like Arrow's a cycle of abuse, where it's like the first two seasons were great. And then after that, it's like you kind of like, yeah, I like this, right? And then it just basically makes less and less sense as it goes on. It keeps going on. Like it's going to wrap up like at the end of this year. It's at 9 seasons, but 8 or 9 seasons. I think it's 8. Well, no, it might be 9.
I think that happened to me with the CW, and that's why I don't watch it as much as anymore. Like, I loved Gossip Girl, and I remember being like, I'm not gonna like that show. That looks stupid. And then, like, I lived with this girl when I first moved to LA that, like, this was before Netflix, that had, like, the DVDs, and I, like, oh my God, and I, like, loved, like, the first, like, 3 or 4 seasons, but yeah, then it just goes, like, off the rails, and it's, like, hard to watch because it's just, like, so weird. And, like, again, I love the OC, but then, like, when Misha Barton got killed off, I was like, it's just, like, ugh. Like, I love the other characters, but it was just, like, they were just reaching for storylines or something. I don't know, it just wasn't as good anymore.
CW just doesn't know when to end the show. Sometimes they end some too quick, and on the other side of things, just keep things go. They keep beating it like a dead horse sometimes.
Yeah, like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I think had way more seasons left. Yeah, I also really like iZombie. I think that's CW.
I know, yeah, that's a good. You strike me as someone who would love iZombie, given because the thing I love about iZombie is I love Rose McIver, the Liv character, the Liv Moore character. I just love how she's very much kind of almost like a situation comedy sort of character in that every week it's like, it's like almost like Lucy getting into another crazy thing where she eats a brain, and of course she's taking on a different personality. The sheer range that actress has to have, and that's the thing. We come back to that show. She's like, if that show lives or dies by its protagonist, and I think she delivers every time. That's why I binge iZombie. I don't watch it when it comes on. It's binging on Netflix because CW and Netflix have a deal where after the show ends, 2 weeks later, it's going to be all on Netflix.
Yeah, that's how I discovered it too. And yeah, she's really good. And she's the one that the main girl, she's the one that's in that Christmas Prince movie or whatever on Netflix.
Ah, yes, the Christmas Prince. I've been
Which
avoiding that one.
Well, see, I normally don't like those cheesy Christmas movies. I'm like, ugh, they're so predictable.
I feel like I would enjoy that series just based on like the cheese factor, because I'm kind of one of those, like, I enjoy my so bad it's good type stuff from time to time.
Yeah, well, that's one that it's like, it's so bad and it's like, it knows it's so bad.
Right,
so it's
right.
just like,
It's no Four Christmases. Four Christmases is a cancer upon this world. That movie's just not good.
oh yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, that one's actually just like, it does all the tropes. It's really predictable, but it's somehow still really funny. Like, and I think it's because of her. Like, because like she's just so like likable. I don't know, but that's one cheesy Christmas movie that I actually like.
All right.
Because I'm not like a typical girl. Like, I'm not like into the rom-coms and stuff. Typically, like, I'm more a Seth Rogen fan. You know what I mean? So, but I will say, Christmas Prince, I do enjoy.
There's gonna be an odd segue from Christmas Prince, but since you brought up Seth Rogen, I do wonder. As you mentioned, you were a big fan of Goldberg and Rogen's collaborations. Preacher, you watch it?
I haven't watched that one. Is it worth watching?
I think it is. Again, I'll admit though, it's a little out there, but it's I like it better. I mean, I can't say I like it better than the books. I'm not uber familiar with the books, but I mean, from what I've seen, I think it's, I don't know. I think the show is really good. I've gotten a real big kick out of it. And I think if you like, they don't, like, Seth Rogen isn't in the show, but again, like, they produce and they're kind of adapting a comic book, but again, they're adapting it very faithfully and adding a little bit of their stuff just kind of into kind of the style of it. So I think you'd like it, but again, bear in mind, again, you don't really watch a lot of it. It's not a CW show, to put it that way, because I'm getting the sense you're not much for the superhero stuff on the CW. But beyond that, though, again, it's like,
I'll give it a try. I really liked Future Man. That was one that they wrote, but they weren't in it.
that's pretty. Basically, if you like Future Man, I think you're gonna like Preacher. If that's the case, I think you're gonna like.
Okay, cool.
Are you a Back to the Future fan, as heightened would implied?
Yes.
So good to hear.
That is like one of my favorite movies. I think the second one is like my actual favorite.
I totally agree with you. Back to the Future Part 2 is the best of that trilogy.
Yeah, I love Back to the Future. That's why I have the Back to the Future shirt. But yeah,
Yep.
I love Yeah, Josh wrote that in because I think I'm sure that happened. I'm sure we were talking about something, and I'm sure I'm like, oh yeah, Back to the Future is my favorite, and he was probably like, like we're not talking about you. But yes, I love those movies. I remember seeing them as a kid, and yeah, second, I love time travel. I think that's another reason why I like Future Man. I just ah, love time travel. And in Future Man, they like run into their other selves, and I don't know, that kind of stuff I really like. That's why I liked the new Avengers too, is all the time travel stuff.
Well, the new
Yes.
Avengers, of course, everyone's saying it's basically Back to the Future Part 2, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's
Yeah, I
a
love
good
that.
thing.
Yeah. I love when Paul Rudd's like, so Back to the Future was bullshit?
Okay, there's the quote. I'm so glad you brought things. I almost completely forgot about it. One of my favorite things in Friends. I love when Paul Rudd enters Friends. I love just Paul Rudd and
Oh,
Phoebe.
Oh my God,
Lisa
yeah.
Kudrow.
can we talk about Paul Rudd for a second? Like,
I
man,
think
that
he's just so
guy,
wonderful.
he's the best. Like, he was in Clueless, which is just a classic in my opinion. And then he like got in with that Apatow Seth Rogen crew, and like I loved him in 40-Year-Old Virgin, like loved him and all that. And now he's fucking Ant-Man, like, and
Yep.
he's like drinking from the fountain of youth or something, because he looks better than ever.
Everyone's
Looks the
joking
same.
about that, but it's totally true.
But you know what's great about Paul Rudd? See, the thing, Ant-Man. I call Ant-Man the most likable franchise in the MCU because again, there's Paul Rudd. He exudes likability. He's the most likable hero. I don't know why. I just feel always happy when Ant-Man's around. That's why, like when he's meeting Captain America, my guy from the MCU, he's like, oh my God, it's like I'm meeting the most likable guy, my favorite guy. It's awesome.
I like when he's like, we met at the airport.
Yep. Ant-Man. I know you remember Ant-Man.
Oh God, in Civil War, when he showed up, I was like, yes.
I love how he says you're great too, to Scarlet Witch, and I like that. I take it as again. Some people would say he's just being polite, but I like to take it as no, he's just giving her some props too. He's that nice a guy. I don't know. It's
Yeah, he's that's America's ass. Like,
yes.
he's just great. And
But have you seen Fundamentals of Caring?
yes, not
Good
my
one. Again,
favorite.
good dramatic performance on him though. I mean, again, Paul Rudd can, like he's hilarious in Anchorman, but in the Anchormans, I guess. But he's also again can do some drama too. It's just Paul Rudd can do no wrong in my book. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that he was great in it. God, and like Anchorman, I forgot that was even him because he's just so
Sex Panther.
yeah, everything that he's in, like even if it's like an ensemble thing, like he's always my favorite. Like in everything he's in, he's always my favorite. Like an Anchorman, I actually did an Anchorman parody, and I was like, I want to play Paul Rudd. Like he's just awesome. He's always like super bad. He was my favorite, but that's love, man. Like he's just, I just love him. He's just so likable.
Hey, maybe I should I hit her with the last big two or
I mean, yeah, we just we need to kind of wrap up here because we also need to do the
no,
big...
that's the other one. That's what I'm talking about. It's that, and not, you know.
Yeah, hit her with one last question and then get into the big thing that we have planned for the finale.
Righto. Okay, so okay, here's one for all the marbles before we get to kind of the big surprise. So, what has, and be a little prolific here since it's the last question, so brace yourself. What has becoming an actor taught you about yourself?
Ooh.
Now, dust it off the James Lipton question here. What do you
got? Okay. So when I started Stella Adler, we had to, in the very first day of all classes, this voice class I was in, we had to like go into the middle of the room and pretend like we were walking on a big like map of like the earth and walk around it like, okay, I was born in Salt Lake City. And then I had to be like where Salt Lake City would be on the map. And then we moved to Texas. And I kind of like had to tell my whole life story as I was like walking around this map. And it's like, and then I studied abroad in Spain, and like I walked over to Spain, and like, God, I hope this doesn't come off as like ego, like tistical or anything, but it just kind of like and I did it, and then obviously my whole class did it, and it was like, man, everyone's story and like my story is so interesting. Like I'm enough. And I think sometimes I forget and everyone forgets just being, God, this sounds so corny, but just like being yourself is just, it's interesting and it's enough. And I think sometimes with acting specifically and storytelling and whatever you do, and actually in any job, like we always think we have to like sometimes do more and push more to like be interesting or likable or to get the big promotion or I don't know, whatever. But I think sometimes we forget, like when we like and doing that exercise, it made me realize like, no, I'm enough. I'm interesting, damn it. Like I don't need to try so hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, really well said. I can definitely relate to that as someone who's kind of like, I'm often hard on myself for little imperfections and stuff, even when it comes to the podcast and stuff. Like if some technical issue goes wrong, Dragon can attest to that. I'll sometimes have my moments of just like, oh God, no, like the world's just kind of crashing down around me. And at the end of the day, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, you got to just kind of pick up the pieces, you got to just do the best you can. And it's like when you think about it in the context of our channel, it's like we're not like one of those big channels. It's like we don't have promotions from like Dollar Shave Club and every other app on the mobile market right
Audible, now. Not us, unfortunately.
By the way,
Sad to tell you.
I'm sorry, just quick tangent on sponsorships, really quick. It's really bothering me like when people are supporting like individual apps now, and then they have to go into the detail of like, all right, and here's all the gameplay features and blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, okay, I'm so much more comfortable with like the Dollar Shave Club and the Audible and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, we don't have sponsorships, we don't have a ton of viewership. But you know what? At the end of the day, we've got like 700 plus subscribers. Like we're close to 750 subscribers right now, and that's something. You know what I mean? Like that's not nothing. That's something to account for. That means that literally hundreds of people have watched what we want to say so much that they click subscribe and are engaged into it. And do all those 700 people watch every video we put out? God, no, because not every one of our videos gets the 700 views, far from it. But you know what I mean? It's just like, it's the small victories that count. Those small victories, as Captain America would say.
Yeah. And it's like, and sometimes I think of it like myself like 5-10 years ago, if they were where I was today, like that Katie would have been stoked. So I just need to remember, it's like you said, the little victories, and you just need to, need to realize that what we're doing is good and it's enough.
Totally. All right, so Dragon, we have a little surprise for you, Katie. Of course, as you probably know, when Mark Sipko was on the podcast, he was specifically asked, like, who do you want to see on the podcast? Who do you want to be? Well, specifically, like, who should be the next theme month? And he specifically chose you. So, Katie, we're going to arrange things a little bit differently. We're going to kind of have a twist to this format. Instead of it being just entirely open-ended, Dragon, we've got 3 wonderful prizes for you. Dun, 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 dun. All right, go ahead, Dragon.
I think he's doing Price is Right. I'm doing Dating Game for some reason.
I'm definitely doing Price is Right.
Anyway, point is, Katie Mary Garland, come on down. Okay, so Katie, we got 3 wonderful choices here for him. I'm gonna throw them at you. We're gonna go after door number 1, door number 2, then door number 3. Door number 1 holds this: the fate of the next season of the Just Giggle It graphic rests in your lovely hands, Katie Garland. So you're going to pick. You're going to point at a door, a metaphorical door, if you will. You're going to point at a door, and you're going to pick, after I reveal what's behind the door, what season you'd like us to do for the next season of the Just Giggle It grab bag. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Door number 1. The season of Sagar. Isn't Sagar shiny?
Ooh. Yeah.
All right. Door number 2. The season of Satire.
Ooh.
Now, even I don't know what this is, Dragon, so.
He doesn't. He's in for a shocker, but we got to see if he gets picked, though.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
door number 3. Josh Tomathon.
Ooh.
We've been getting letters about this, all from Joshua Thomas. He's been dying to get a season for himself here. But again, all three of these have very compelling stories. We got Joshua Thomas, who's and it's all in your hands, Kate. You can decide. Again, we know we've set up this grand dynamic between you and Joshua Thomas. His fate's in your hands, but by the same token, we got Satire, which is the boatload of surprises, and then we got Sagar, who's kind of been waiting in the wings, always at the ready. So we got 3 excellent choices. Katie Mary Garland, what do you want next season the grab bag to foretell?
I want it to be Josh. Door number 3.
Door number 3. Forgive this if this sounds like a Shrek parody. Door number 3. It's Josh Tomathon. Congratulations, Katie Mary Garland. You've made Josh Thomas one happy camper, and hopefully a number of others.
All right, now I want you all to just picture Sagar from one of my favorite sketches, the Leo didn't win an Oscar sketch, and he's basically having a similar reaction right now. He's just kind of like solemnly, just like, well, that's it. I didn't get picked. That did so. I always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
You know what would have been
a single tear rolling down his beard.
Vicky, you're talking over the wonderful guests here. Wonderful guests. What do you got?
Oh no, it's fine. I feel like an asshole. But it would have been. I'm glad you didn't do Piper and Josh, because I really don't. I mean, that would have been.
Well, we've already done the Piper season, so.
But you haven't interviewed her, have you?
We haven't interviewed her.
A Piper season.
You should. Maybe, I don't know. She would be cool. But I'm really excited for Josh-a-thon.
All right, just to be clear, Katie, I think Josh was the appropriate choice for you to make. I'm, of course, just ripping you about the Sagar thing.
I know.
Of course, we have the dynamic between you and Josh. The brother-sister kind of Garfield-Nermal feud that we have going on, and I'm genuinely really excited to see what Dragon pulls out of his hat because the tricky thing about Joshua Thomas and why we haven't done a traditional theme season around him yet is I always argue that that season 1 we did, which was we actually covered 20 sketches in season 1 because we did 10 episodes of season 1 and each episode was 2 sketches. So I think that season 1, Joshua Thomas was all over that season. And then also, just besides that point, he's also all over everyone else's sketches. So I'll be interested to see which sketches Dragon chooses to specifically highlight the man of many hats on Just Giggle It.
Yeah, are you going to like redo some? Or are you going to try and find all new stuff?
Probably try and find all new stuff, right, Dragon?
Yes, and I'll tell you this, Katie, and that was the issue we had with your season 2, because here's the thing, because you be a little, again, you being the grand safety net of everything. You elevate all the sketches, man. I mean, that's the problem, because during our Poncio season, we had you appeared opposite Ponce in all these wonderful sketches, and we came to with Mark Sitka saying, Katie Garland season. Okay, that sounds great. We're going over the catalog. Oh no, we've covered all the.
We've done it all.
Some of the greatest ones, but don't get me wrong, we had a number of good ones to choose from here. Of course, we started strong with You Can't Do That. We did Chillin' and Grown. We have a recent addition, and of course, we kind of dug deep. We found Becoming.
Yeah, you guys dug real deep for that, and I'm shocked you found that figure.
Wait a minute, I
Oh,
wanted to do figure cut, but again, we would have had the issue of, well, it's not really complete, though. I mean, it's
right. Golly, I need to look into that. Thanks for the reminder.
All right. Well, Katie,
Uh,
this has been so much fun. We've been going for almost Drake and I am pretty sure we beat Sipka's time.
oh
yes, we. Oh, well, no, I don't know. We're close.
We're close.
That's
All right.
semantics. The point is, we're close. All right. Now you're putting it on like a pedestal. Now, and we've done really good. Okay, that's
all right. We're on, and I'm also putting it on like these people are like in some big competition. Like I'm the best podcast guest. No, I'm the best podcast guest.
No, but
Sipka's
if you
just, like listening to this, like, ooh, she better not overshadow me.
yeah, he's like, don't forget who nominated you.
All right, Katie, any last words on the Kate-Ening?
Well, absolutely, but in case there's and Katie, do you have any final words, any final evaluation on
also any plugs or anything for projects?
Yes, that's very important.
Yes, follow you.
Wait, say that again. Do I want to plug anything?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Katie Mary Garland. Twitter, I think I'm like Katie M Garland. But I'm really more active on Instagram if you want to like follow me and see what I'm up to. Yeah, watch Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World. We have shot episode 6. It's shot. We shot that back in January. I don't know how much is edited. But we're just waiting for that episode to hit 1 million views. So spread the word, people. You got to see what happens to Carmela.
Yes.
I can say Carmela's in it.
All right. Okay, Dragon, take us out.
The Kate-Ening, ladies and gentlemen, the Kate-Ening has come to an end. And we all survived, so good for us. Thanks ever so much to Katie Garland for chatting with us. That ends another season for us until the next reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag.